Good
Yes,
morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
we have this much students only today. Let's start the session. Before I proceed, I hope you have gone through that Excel that was shared across with you and were able to compute the enterprise value. Trust me, this is all technical today. So, should we brush upon the enterprise value again? Uh,
Yes, sir, little bit.
Yes, sir.
so, I'll just give you a more context to it. Uh, I hope I'm just sharing my screen now. I hope it's visible now. I'll- So I'll highlight the
Sir, is the
equation.
recording on?
Recording is on. Recording is on. Enterprise value is basically market cap, which we also call as equity value. Market cap plus total debt plus capital lease plus minority interest plus preferred stock less cash and cash equivalents and less investment in associates. I'll just give you more perspective for each of the line items. Probably you can have notes also, but trust me, understanding this equation is the entire game for investment banking. Stops the flow of the class as and when you people join. So yes, equity equity value or market cap is calculated. Sorry, can't help it. Equity. So just bear with my throat. I have catch up with cold, so just bear. My voice will be a bit heavy today. Equity value or market cap is basically total outstanding shares into share price. For total outstanding shares, we also take conversion, convertible securities, stock-based compensation. Share-based compensation, I'll elaborate subsequently. Convertible securities are those securities which has the options of both debt as well as equity. So, like convertible debts, NCR, no, and there is another class called non-convertible debentures. One is convertible debentures and the other is non-convertible. As the name itself says, the non-convertible debentures, which you'll see that there are a lot of offerings by a lot of financial institutions these days, which are kind of a long-term debt, whereas convertible debentures, convertible debt are also long-term in nature, but also holds a gives a privilege to the bondholder to get those debt converted into equity sometime later. So for that, generally company provides a strike price. So we discussed the other day for convertible securities. Say for example, there is a 100 million convertible securities at a strike price of say $10 and the current market price is say 5. So that is been issued at 100% premium. But that convertible securities uh, would have been long term, say minimum of 3 to 5 years. So what do we do is add as on date. We treat that as debt. I'll show you the working. For example, this is kind of a our comms template. So we have that. So if you look at the comms template, at the start of that, we have the name of the company. So this is a very old template. The price, so just don't go with the date. You can just relate it as 8.5 is the current market price. Okay. Uh, we have built-in fully diluted shares. So this is basically linked to over here. So here we generally add the basic share. Just a second. So this is the basic share outstanding. Basic share outstanding is available in 10K's front page, 10Q's front page. Then have we'll have another cell for in the money options. In the money options are those options like convertible or share options which has a strike price lower than the current market price. That means they are in the money. That means suppose 8.5 as on this comms template, we have 8.5 as the current price. So all the securities which has price less than 8.15 are in the money. So just try and understand एग्जाम्पल लो अगर आपको कोई चीज़ मार्केट की प्राइस है अभी 10 रुपए और आपको अगर वो चीज़ 8 रुपए की मिल रही है तो आप वो ले लोगे राइट क्योंकि आपको 2 रुपए का फायदा है 2 रुपए यू आर मेकिंग मनी इन बिकॉज इट्स इन दी मनी नाउ सी हाउ डू वी लिंक इट suppose I have 100 million as amount over here. Conversion price currently is say 10. So what is the number of new shares I would be issuing? My formula say if my conversion price which is RF, if RF55 is lower than E17. E17 is basically my share price. Then this equation will give me result as 0. However, if my conversion price is currently sorry, I just misspelled it. I'll say if my conversion price is higher than the share price, it will give me a value as 0. If my conversion price is lower than the current market price, it will compute me the total number of new shares that is expected to be issued. Why? Because we are assuming it as on given date if this company has to be acquired by someone. So what will happen is they will have to factor in for all the liabilities, all the dilutions. So hence we will factor in that this will be treated as equity and not debt. So when we'll be computing total debt, we will have to exclude the convertible debt from total debt calculation, but we have to show that as equity. So our number of shares will increase by that amount and my total debt will exclude this. There should never be a double counting. You're free to stop me anywhere over here. So let me just build it for you again. Equal to a function if my conversion price is less than current price, right? Then it should give me 0 as a result. Else it will give me 100 divided by conversion price, right? This lower. If is higher, should be higher. So we can work on the lower function also. In that case, I just have to change the placement of 0 over here. So let's stick to the initial equation. If my conversion price is lower than my current price, that signifies that it is in the money. Hence, we would divide the total amount by the price to give me the number of shares outstanding. Now remember one thing. This is for convertible. However, if this would have been say share options, let's do one thing. I'll discuss on the share option because in the share option I'll have to uh, tweak this formula with one another small equation I'll add up. I'll just discuss that later when we discuss on the share based compensation. It's another session for share based. I'll just quickly elaborate on that once we are through with this equation because this equation, understanding this equation, uh, is the crux of the entire investment banking. Everything revolves around this. This is the very basic and critical thing a person needs to understand. Everything is linked to it. So trust me, if you have any questions, any doubts, just let me know once we are through with this. I'll just let you know in detail what is the definitions for all this. And post that you can raise any questions that you have. Debt represents basically short term and long term. Short term debt will be available in current liabilities. Long term debt will be available in non-current liabilities under the balance sheet. Debt, as you know, is self-explanatory. Any form of instrument that pays you interest, or could be a zero bond debt which does not pay you interest, but that bond is issued at a discount. Say 100 million, a company wants to issue 100 million bond, uh, but it is a zero debt paying instrument. So what will happen is that bond will have to be issued at a discount. So it might be issued at say 90, and over the course of period, 3 years, 4 years, if that bond has to be converted and be paid in full, that liability would be 100 only. You company would be receiving 90 as the fund, but that would be treated as 100, and you would gradually amortize the interest portion in that debt. So every year you will see a couple of millions or whatever the amortization amount would be added to the debt, and the principal value will increase up to 100 over the time of that bond till the debt has been matured fully. Uh, we also mentioned capital lease slash operating lease. Basically, leasing is an arrangement where the risk and the ownership of the lease asset lies with the leasee. Leasee is who leases that asset and appears on the balance sheet of the leasee, which is also called as obligations under liabilities. So you'll see operating lease liability under current liabilities as well as non-current liabilities. We'll treat that as debt. Hence, for the purpose of accounting, it is treated as purchase of assets through incurrence of debt. Since it's treated as debt, it effectively increases a firm's purchase price and is added to the total enterprise value as other form of debt. Just remember that. Minorities would cover that day again. Minority is basically the value of the equity that is not owned by the company. For example, company owns 80% ownership in B, so the remaining 20% is held by other investors. Hence, as per accounting guidelines, we need to consolidate 100% of ownership of A in B, but the 20% is not held by A, so it has to be shown as NCI, NCI, non-controlling interest. Preferred stock is, you must be aware of it only, all these students. It's just another equity class which has a preference over equity. It is also added cash and cash equivalents. Yes, this is where you had a lot of questions. So if you look at the balance sheet, you'll see a line as cash and cash equivalents or cash at bank all these instruments which can be converted into cash in the short term are treated as cash and cash equivalents. Remember, only short term. You will see long term investments in balance sheet under non current asset. We need to ignore that. We should not. So at times the bankers specifically ask us to add those on a specific cases. So that purely depends. So on a generic, 99% bankers will say exclude it. However, there could be an exception which we have to go through and understand in detail. Uh, so nothing is fixed. Everything is basis case to case. So cash can be in the form of bills, coins, currency notes, or cash held in the bank through saving accounts or checking balance. Cash equivalents refers to investments that are readily converted to cash. So let's just join. Cash equivalents are investments that are readily convertible to cash and have an original maturity of less than 90 days. I'll say less than 1 year right now. You should consider that. This means a 1 year investment with 2 months left to maturity will not be classified as cash equivalent. No. So we'll just remember for this ease of your understanding, any current assets in the current assets, any cash, short-term investments, cash and cash equivalents, market reserve. These three terms are generically, the reflected in current assets. So any of these three things are available. Add all of them to make it as cash and cash equivalent, which we'll subtract from our enterprise value. This is basically kind of liquid assets that are available at the balance sheet, and we're not paying to acquire that balance sheet, hence we are subtracting it. The moment I acquire that company, all the assets and liabilities will be transferred to me, hence only the liabilities we are adding and all the assets we are subtracting. Marketable securities, just to give you a more detail or understanding on marketable securities, are those basically these are kind of treasury exercises the companies enter. All the IT companies will see a lot of marketable securities in them. So these are kind of short term instruments where company participates. There could be mutual funds, there could be debt funds, there could be debt mutual funds, equity mutual funds that or the commercial papers that company might uh, park their money for short duration so that their money is not idle and earning something from them in the meantime. uh, at times what happens is they have certain uh, cash available at their disposal and they want to go for inorganic acquisitions, growth options in the form of acquisitions. So they might not find the right candidate right away. So hence they'll use their treasury methods to just optimize and maximize their earnings through whatever they have. So there's a special treasury department in the corporates as well. Uh, Besides that, this could be at times there'll be a payable or say there is a debt payment 6 months down the line. So company will kind of park their surpluses somewhere so that whenever that maturity arises, they can easily redeem that and pay it off. Restricted cash. This is a very critical thing to understand. Restricted cash, by the name itself, says that this is specifically restricted to a particular activity. Any so if you see when a company goes for an IPO or enters into M&A, they'll see or raises debt. You'll see restricted cash on their current assets. So what does that restricted cash mean? That their cash is held for a specific objective. We need to only consider restricted cash when that restricted cash is held against any debt or a liability. You just consider for this as debt only right now. So why I'm saying is Uh, Debt portion. So what happens is when company is into working capital, or they are raising certain debt in the form of uh, credit facilities, so they have to pledge certain security as a collateral to the bank. So bank will say that okay, so company says these are my fixed deposits. You can take it as certain securities, and for the purpose of collateral, and company will show that as restricted because they cannot use that assets or that cash for any other purpose. So that has been parked, and so just like when you go to a bank to take a locker facility, the bank will say that these days you have to enter into a fixed deposit. So, and that interest will be kind of used to pay the locker rent. So, suppose in case you miss on paying any uh, the rent on the lockers, so we'll just subtract it from that restricted cash. So, if that restricted cash is not against any debt, then we'll not include it. It's only when it is held against a total any of the debt, because debt is we are already adding that debt in the total debt, right? So hence we have to exclude the restricted cash, because that portion, suppose I have drawn out of 100 million, I have drawn 100 million from a credit facility, and 20 million is parked as restricted cash. So net withdrawn is only 80, right? So I have to only factor in 80. So I have taken 100 in my total debt. So remaining 20 I have to exclude as my cash and cash equivalents, because at the end it's my asset. So hence I am excluding 20. However, if this restricted cash is not held against any debt, I will not include. Now coming to investment in associates. Investment in associates refers to an investment, a minority investment, or a stake that a company has acquired. Probably could be a strategic, could be purely an investment in any other companies, purely for making profit. So generally this is below the line item, and it will be shown below the operating profit. Should And it will be mentioned as earnings from equity investments or investment in associates. These investments generally are also known as equity method investments. Investment assets should be deducted to calculate enterprise value if shares of earnings from these investments are reported after operating profit. This is because the investments a firm has in another company is reflected in company stock price, hence a company's market cap, and therefore its EV implicitly includes the value of investment in an associate. However, the company EBIT and EBITDA would not include shares of earning. So remember, at the end what we are trying to compute is total value, and then what is the multiple. How is that total value divided by the earnings? What kind of trade multiple it is trading at? So suppose if my so what we are doing is we are subtracting. Remember why we are subtracting? I'll just repeat that. We are subtracting because my total value of the company is reflected in enterprise value. So we are excluding the investment in associate. So if you see the ratio analysis, so we always do an apple to apple. Anything that is a part of numerator should be a part of denominator. It should be a like to like comparison. So let's see enterprise value. If enterprise value is reflected of the total value of the investments in the firm, similarly my bottom, the denominator should be also reflected. So if we look at EBITDA, I told investments in earlier that investment in associates are below the line item, which is shown as after operating profit. Hence, when we calculate EBIT or EBITDA, these are not reflected in that. So when we are computing EV by EBITDA or EV by EBIT, my EBITDA is not reflected off, or my EBIT is not including the investments in associates. However, my EV is. So this will give me a wrong figure. Hence, I have to exclude investment in associates from the enterprise value. So try and understand that this is not normal operating business of the company. Hence, we are excluding. They are not in the business of investing. That is not their core business. Hence, we have to exclude it. Uh, any questions thus far?
Sir, are investment in associates fixed in nature or current?
Fixed in nature. These are fixed assets, right? But this will
Okay.
not be in your current assets. They will be in non-current. These are long-term fixed assets.
Okay, sir.
Sir, I had a question.
Yes, please.
Sir, when it comes to debt, there is always a trade-off between considering the market value or the book value of debt.
Yes.
And with illiquid issues, I have read that you use matrix pricing and other methods to sort of arrive at the value. What do you
Yes.
recommend?
Pardon?
With illiquid issues, sir, that do not really like that suffer from issues like stale pricing. I have read, obviously, like this is my first time doing it, but I have read that you use methods like matrix pricing. So, what do you recommend in terms of calculating the market value or book value of debt?
So there are certain debt which are traded, right?
Right, right,
So if you look at the balance sheet, you will see uh, there will be market value of debt also provided.
right.
So always there are specific banks which have a different funda to report that. So we
Mm-hmm.
generally would always take market debt of a debt,
All right.
market value of a debt. Now
Okay.
your question in terms of how do we do it? So
Mhm.
there are two things. If that class of debt is listed and publicly available for trading,
Right.
we have the options to look at the current market price. So we
Mm-hmm.
know the principal amount, right?
Right, right, right.
So we can easily compute that. Maybe you can refer to Bloomberg Terminal, other
Mm-hmm.
sources where you'll get that thing, facts,
Right.
red cap, like your other thing.
Mm-hmm.
However, there is no alternative way if that data is not available for trading and you don't have the market value. The best way is we are just trying to get as close as to the true value of the company. The best way is to take the whatever available at the balance sheet or the company is filing.
So just the principal outstanding then in that case.
Yes,
All right. And sir,
excluding the unamortized discount part.
right, that
That
part
the
I got.
net portion, not the gross. Gross
Right.
will only take for the convertibles.
All right. And sir, I had one more question.
Please go ahead.
So regarding minority interest, I mean it intuitively makes sense to subtract it, right? I mean
Why
because sir, it's a part of another company that is not owned by the
is
parent,
it a
right?
liability or an asset?
Well, it comes under equity, so
Is it a liability or a
it's a liability, sir. It's a
so
liability.
debt is a liability or an asset?
Liability, sir.
So are we subtracting debt or adding debt?
No, sir, we're adding it.
Preferred we are adding or subtracting. So
We're
try
adding
and understand this equation in terms of liability. So rather than
it.
mugging, I don't believe in that. Just try to correlate it. What is it? Either we are adding it or subtracting it.
No, we're adding it, sir. Makes sense.
Precisely.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Just a second. Give me a second. Right. Uh, I hope everything is clear. Now I would like to, jump on to the share-based compensation part right away. Basically, adjusting for diluted securities. Can we break for a couple of minutes? Actually, just breaking for a couple of minutes.
Sure, sir.
Please allow me some time, just a couple of minutes.
Hello. Can anyone tell me, are we going to get recorded session of this meeting?
Yes, you will be getting.
Thank you.
Sorry for that quick break. Um, Basically, adjusting for dilutive securities. As discussed above, when you are looking for outstanding shares, we always need to compute all the securities which are dilutive in nature and factor in while computing the market cap of the company. So, as the definition suggests, our dilutive securities are kind of financial instruments that can potentially increase the number of shares outstanding. This means that such an instrument can be converted into common stocks. So, what are these kind of securities? These are basically share-based compensations. Convertible we have already discussed. So, these are share-based compensation securities like options. RSUs are restricted stock units. Convertible securities we have done. It could be warrants. Warrants are nothing but longer dated options. Convertible, there could be convertible preferred, convertible that we have already discussed. Since these securities increases the number of common stocks, which in turn reduces the earnings per share. Hence, it is also even important to factor in during earnings per share computation. So understand if you are what is P ratio? It's just price by earnings per share, or we can say market cap divided by net income. So if we are using price by earnings per share, so how price is calculated? It is market cap divided by number of outstanding shares, and EPS is calculated as total net income divided by number of outstanding shares. So when we are using P by E formula or the multiple, we will see that for market cap divided by number of shares, if we are adjusting dilutive, so it also is very important to adjust the same uh, number of shares for our EPS computation. So, but you'll also see earnings per shares are not so. What we do is we while calculating market cap, we are saying at present what is the total outstanding shares and what is the impact of dilution. So we are adding that. Whereas EPS is not computed that way. EPS is always a weighted average of diluted securities. Why? Because my earnings is a factor of that period. So hence the weighted average number of shares for that period is computed. It is not at that specific time. So just imagine uh, right now it's say we are computing earnings per share of a company for the full year, say FY21, say probably or CY21 from Jan 1st Jan 2021 to 31st December 2021. Now a company on 15th of December comes up with an equity offering. So number of shares would increase, but the uh, now suppose I'll have to compute the EPS. Should I take the ending number of shares or should I take the average? We should always take average because the impact of that has not been reflected in the earlier 11.5 months. We have not raised that funds. So my earnings will not be impacted by that, right? Because it is not a beginning of the year activity. It is towards the end. So there could be similar kind of activities that have happened during the course of the year. So it becomes very imperative to just take the total average equity shares while computing EPS. We'll come back to it later. So I'm just giving you a perspective on it. Uh, Trust me, we'll have a more depth to it. First, let's focus on understanding what is this uh, share-based compensation. So understand stock options. Stock options are kind of an incentive given to the senior manager or the senior leaderships to compensate them, retain them, motivate employees, or at times also to reduce your cash outflow. At times, you'll see that most of the startups pay you equity as a form of your total compensation. Why? Because either they are not, at times they're not able to, generate that sufficient cash flows Hence, they want to retain also and also pay you good. So hence, they'll give you an equity component. Um, so generally, these options have a vesting condition. Vesting condition are basically it's like a time base or a performance base. So time base are usually granted to junior and mid-level employees, basically to retain them, and performance base is given to the senior leaderships. So by performance base, I mean to say is that at times there'll be that if my share price increased by X percentage, you would be entitled to this. Or if my earnings have increased or there is a certain growth you have achieved, you will get that. Time vesting is just for as a retention and reduce your attrition at the same time. So company will say, I'll give you certain options provided you have to stick around with the company for next 4 years, and subsequent to 4 years, those options will be converted to normal shares, and you will be allowed to acquire them. So these shares also are similar. They have a specific strike price. You would be issued, which will generally be if that has a vesting period, generally it should be higher than the current market price. But over time, it will definitely, if the company performs well and that share price increases above the strike price, employer has the option either to, convert them if they are with that time. So that is like, that vault opens and employees are allowed to subscribe to those options. I'll give you an example in a working. Out of the money options are those whose current price is lower than the strike price. And at the money is like equal. Share price and stock price are equal. So this is kind of, in 10Ks or 10Ks, you'll see this kind of table under share-based compensation. There'll be a separate note in the 10K and 10Q where you'll have this kind of table. So always take the outstanding end of the year number, not the exercisable. Now you'll question why not exercisable? Because we have made that as dynamic. So this exercisable is calculated based on that particular date. Say the year ending is say 31st December. So as of 31st December, the price that company was having basis that they have calculated. So basis that these are also further breakdown. So this is the beginning number of year 30623. So this is not as a whole. It is like it is basically a sum of, and this is the weighted average exercise price of the entire lot of options that a company has issued. So this has a breakdown in terms of various tranches. Understand that. So there'll be kind of 10 branches, like, hypothetically, uh, where some will have say exercise price as 10, some will have say 20, some will have 90. So hence that weighted average price has been attained, just for summarizing it. If you look at the bottom of it, then at times the company will provide a further breakup of it. If that breakup is not available, it is safe to use this weighted average exercise price, which is at the end of the year. This is the beginning, the company granted few, exercise few, cancelled few, and the resulting is the outstanding. So for our computation, we'll always use outstanding at the end of the year, because we might need to run that template, maybe a weekly basis, bi-weekly or a daily basis, and see where do we stand. So if we make it dynamic and use total outstanding and what is the strike price, basis that our market price or the current price is, again we have to update it. So as and when we update it, if that increases from 59 to say 70, we'll have all of these in the money. If the share price decreases to say less than 59, say 50, all of this will be out of the money, hence will not factor in it. because at that particular moment that is not diluted in nature.
Sir,
Yeah,
yeah, one of the guys trying to join. Atir Khan.
I just saw Vimal.
He was watching me, telling sir is not letting him in.
Uh, Ask him to again send that request.
Okay, sir.
Anyhow, let's move. So restricted stock units. Restricted stock units are basically those units granted to an employee by employer uh, with the promise of issuing them as securities without any condition. The condition would only be that it could be time or a performance based. Uh, so it is. Sorry. So restricted stock units are kind of shares that are restricted in sense of time vesting period or performance vesting period. Vesting period again, it's a condition that needs to be fulfilled. So for this, the company will not get any proceeds. Remember. So in these options, weighted average exercise price which we have, uh, ESOPs or stock options, company will receive a proceeds. Remember, so company is saying that I'll give you certain options at say 10, uh, but for that options an employee needs to acquire it by paying certain amount to company, which is basically number of options into the strike price. In that, company will receive proceeds. Whereas in restricted and performance stock units, company will not receive any proceeds. These are kind of an incentive given to the employees. So the exercise price over here or the strike price over here will always be zero. When we enter it in our Excel, we'll always leave the uh, exercise price or the strike price uh, cell as empty. Here we have included the tranches of options with exercise price. When we are adding restricted stock units, we'll add the number of shares or the number of restricted RSUs over here and leave the exercise price as blank. Similarly, for performance stock units, we'll do the same. Now, this is kind of an example I have
Sir,
saved for you just to showcase how the company present that. So either it could be together in a single table, or could be breakdown into say one table for RSU and one table for PSU. So here it's the weighted average grant date fair value. It is at that day uh, when it was issued, what was the fair value. So that would be recorded as expense under cash flow as a non-cash item. Will also be charged to your income statement. It is an expense like your salary, right? So it will
sir,
be.
I have a question.
Let me just complete. I'll just come back to you. Just hold on to your thought. And then similarly PSU. Uh, it is also an expense. The company has already charged to income statement, and that is basically a non-cash component. We're not paying, but company has charged given the accounting principles. So when we calculate the EBITDA, we have to actually add back it to like we add all the non-cash items like depreciation and amortization from operating profit. We also add this non-cash items uh, for our free cash flow also, as well as for our EBITDA computation to normalize it. Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, the employee stock options, if the employees have to pay for converting their options into shares, then what's the point of issuing them? Because they are being issued as a like the company is giving them for the performance, but then you said they have to pay to convert those options into shares.
Yes, it's a very valid point, a very valid question. I'm glad that you raised that. Uh, so just understand, at times, you say you are a CEO of a company, right? There will be a fixed salary, there will be a variable salary. Variable will include restricted units as well, and option also. Options is kind of, uh, uh, an award given to you at a discount to the market price,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
And if you are a promoter, say you want to subscribe, say, uh, have you heard of that? Yes Bank's Carlyle was also granted certain warrants to convert. Warrants are basically longer dated options which might be converted at a later date,
Yes.
or preferential warrants issued. Airtel issued to himself, spikes it. There are n number of cases around it. So those will be higher than the current price at times. So it purely depends on the case to case and what is the background. I would request everyone to mute if you are not speaking, right? Uh, Now coming back, now there, so there will be another class which will be as restricted stock awards, performance stock awards. Remember, we don't need to include awards. Why? Because awards have already been issued and are a part of my outstanding shares. Just understand simply as that. I don't want to confuse you right now with too many jargons. Whenever you see awards written or any option in the footnote, it says that it is not getting converted into equity and it would be cash settled. Just simply exclude it. We don't need to include it. Cash settled would be company will pay cash out of their pocket to settle it. Hence, my number of shares will not increase. Restricted stock awards are already issued by management, are also part of my outstanding shares. So hence I'll not do. There'll be a stock appreciation right. It's similar. Uh, it might be cash settled or stock settled. If it is stock settled, we'll have to take it. If it is cash settled, we'll not. So it's again, different classes. Basically stock appreciation and phantom stocks are basically similar. They are essentially bonus plans which we grant, and that's the right to receive an award based on the value of the company's stock. Hence the term appreciation rights. Your stock has increased by X amount. This is generally given to the senior most CEOs or the boards or the CXOs of the company. Phantom stock is again the right to receive cash at a future point in time, with the amount of cash being linked to the value of the company's stock. It's similar. So again, SARs typically provide employees with a cash or stock-based payment based on the increase in the value of a stated number of shares over a specific period. SARs are offered as a way to reward employees in line with the company's financial performance. There is no exercise price. Instead, the employee receives the appreciation right as an award granted at a specific date. So important whether they are settled through cash or equity. So now just imagine, for the options like RSU and PSUs, we are not receiving any funds, but for options, will company will receive funds. So when the company receives funds, we have to also factor in for dilution. So just in case, when we are assuming that the company will be receiving funds, we'll assume that funds that the company will be receiving will use that not as my cash and cash balance, but I'll use that amount to acquire shares of my own company from market so that I reduce the dilution impact. Suppose there are 100 shares to be issued at a price of say 10. So 100 into 10 is 1000. So I'll use that 1000 to again acquire that shares from the market so that my dilution impact reduces. So this is basically a treasury stock method. I'll show you with example. So suppose there are, I'll just for ease of it, 100 number of 100 million shares that needs to be issued at a price of 4.4, right? So total proceeds company will get is 414. Now just imagine if I have to use this proceed to acquire my own shares. So the total proceeds I'm getting divide by current share price. Basically, I'll be able to acquire 50.8 million shares. So at the end, how much my dilution is? 100 minus 50.8. So this is the net dilution. I am issuing 100 at this strike price, but still since I'm getting 414 as the proceeds, I'll be using this proceeds to acquire my own shares, which is basically total proceeds divided by the current market price of these shares. So basis this 414, I'll be able to procure 50.8 million shares of my own company. So now what would be the net dilution? Net dilution would be 100 less 50.8. This is the treasury method. Simple as that. Very basic. Any questions on that?
Sir, can you please explain the treasury method again?
Suppose I have stocks, number of shares outstanding, stock options as 100 to be issued, okay, with a strike price of say 4.14. So since it's in the money, because my current price is, I'll just link over here only my current price for your ease. So this is my current price, right?
Yes, sir.
This is my exercise price. So if my current price is higher than my exercise price, it makes sense for me to convert it. I'm getting an $4 per share kind of profit.
Yes.
So what I'm doing is in treasury, while calculating the dilution, why we are doing, we're calculating dilution, number of dilutive securities. How much additional securities company has to issue to fulfill its liabilities just in case it has to be acquired by someone. Because we are valuing it and seeing what is the present worth of that company. Hello, right?
Yes.
So I'm assuming that employer will have to shell out 414 as total 414 million as the amount to procure 100 million shares.
Yes.
Company will receive that much amount.
Yes.
So instead of using that as cash, when I'll
Hmm.
receive funds, it will go to my cash and cash equivalents.
Yes.
I'll have the option either to keep it in cash or reduce my debt, right? There could be
Yes.
multiple things. But as a standard in the industry, we'll try to reduce our dilutive effect by instead of putting that money in my bank, I'll use that money to procure shares from the market. So I've company use this as buyback. Like consider that as, but it is not actually a buyback, but just try and understand they're buying back the securities from the market using the proceeds. So 414 million divided by my current price will give me this much number of shares that I can acquire from the market. 50.8.
Yes.
It's basically proceeds divided by the share price. So 414 जो प्रोसीज आ रही थी उसमें से मेरे को 50.8 मिलियन शेयर्स मैं मार्केट से खरीद लिए. सो मुझे एडिशनल कितने इशू करने पड़ेंगे शेयर्स, क्योंकि मुझे तो ऑब्लिगेशन तो मुझे 100 की देनी है ना जिसने
Yes.
तो मैंने क्या करा, 49.2 मैंने फ्रेश इशू कर लिया, 50.8 मैंने मार्केट से खरीद के उसको दे दिया. तो जो नेट डाइल्यूशन इफेक्ट है वो मेरा 49.2 ही है. तो मेरे शेयर्स अगर 1000 थे आउटस्टैंडिंग सपोज, या जितने भी थे यहाँ पर ऊपर अगर हम देखें, बेसिक आउटस्टैंडिंग सपोज मेरे 45.2 थे, तो मुझे नेट 49.2 ही एडिशनल ऐड करना पड़ा इंस्टेड ऑफ, एल्स इट वुड बी 145. अभी मेरा खाली 94.4 ही हुआ है.
Right, sir.
तो बेसिकली वी आर ट्राइंग टू रिड्यूस द
Dilution.
डाइल्यूशन इफेक्ट बाय परचेजिंग माय ओन शेयर्स.
Sir, but this is possible when the shares are not overvalued in the market, like when we are buying.
ओवर वैल्यूड वाला कंसेप्ट ही नहीं अप्लाई करता है यहाँ पर, हम खाली शेयर प्राइस देख रहे हैं.
Okay.
हम ये कह रहे हैं कि प्राइस पैसे आ रहे हैं, पैसों से मैं वही शेयर्स अपने खरीद रहा हूँ टू रिड्यूस माई डाइल्यूशन. मुझे 100 नहीं करने इशू, मैं
Got it,
चाहता
sir.
हूँ कि मैं कम ही करूँ ना, क्योंकि मेरा ईपीएस भी तो डिक्रीज होगा.
Right,
एज
sir.
क्योंकि डिनोमिनेटर नेट इनकम डिवाइडेड बाय नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स गिव मी माई ईपीएस. द हायर द नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स, बिकॉज इसमें अर्निंग्स पे तो कोई इम्पैक्ट हो नहीं रहा इसका,
Yes.
डिनोमिनेटर ही इंक्रीज हो रहा है, तो हेंस माई ईपीएस विल डिक्रीज, विल गिव मी.
Yes.
तो मार्केट विल से ना कि मेरा ईपीएस डिक्रीज हो रहा है, इट हैज नॉट ग्रोन और ग्रोन बाय दैट अमाउंट, so I'll try to reduce that impact.
Right, sir. Yes.
I know it's a bit technical. Now things will, so this is the kind of tranches we have. I told you earlier. This is the range of exercise price. So we'll take the average of this. Just in case a table is shown in this manner, we need to say average of 0.86, comma 37.95 and close. What is the formula? Equal to average, equal to average of 0.86, comma 37.95. So the average is 19.405 and number of shares is 4.5 million. Or the other way is just to take weighted average exercise price. Either of them. I'll take weighted average here. Just in case weighted average exercise price is not available, the other option is to take average. We cannot use weights because we don't know how many and number of shares are in which price range.
Sir, so in that case, the question we were solving, like enterprise value, so there it was written weighted average, like average number of shares or total number of shares. So it's advisable to use average number of shares in case it's given.
No. You're confusing the two things out here. So when we are calculating earnings per share, we'll take always weighted average shares. Weighted average shares. When you open up the income statement of the company, you'll see below the net income, you'll see basic EPS, diluted EPS, weighted average shares outstanding, basic weighted average, diluted weighted average shares outstanding. So weighted average is basically during that, for EPS it is during the entire period of that net income. What is the weighted average shares available? Whereas for calculating equity value or market cap, we'll take total share outstanding at that particular point. What is the
Okay,
current
got it.
outstanding? I understand this is very confusing at times because there is not one principle that goes in. It's understanding everything and keeping that mind in mind together. So this will gradually come when you start working on this. It is not a rocket science. You will gradually start, getting used to how this works. I'll just walk you through also, but walking through you this only after we are able to cover each and everything in detail. Else, there's no point. Actually, you'll not be able to understand or relate to only. That's the reason I'm just uh, breaking down it into multiple parts where and when you will be using it. So once we'll do that exercise, you will relate to it that we covered this there, and then we'll again try to practically see. I'm also trying to show you how it represents, but also we'll do a working live session for that. So this is a kind of computation I've done. Total proceeds. So these are the number of options. This is the exercise price. Options into exercise price give me total proceeds. So this is number of options I'll issue. This is the total proceeds I'll get. So suppose the company has to buy back that at a price of say 70. So 1020550504, that is 1 billion divided by 70 will give you 14 million is the number of shares the company will be buying back. So 20 minus 14 will give me 6 million is my net. Earlier it was 20. Since I have used this money to procure my own shares, which turns out to be 14 million. So hence my only dilution is net of this, which is 6 million. So now see, basic share outstanding, it was 670.9. Net dilution is 60 points. So we're just rounding off this whole number to 6 million. So the total diluted shares outstanding is 676.9 million. Are you able to comprehend that? Anyone, any doubt?
Sir, wouldn't this rounding off lead to some discretion like in
See,
figures?
no. So you will be multiplying this by share price at the end, right? And getting the amount in millions only, right?
Right,
All
sir.
your units will be represented in million only. Because you cannot have this kind of number shown in your Excel, right? You need to have a smaller amount. Else, what will happen is uh, these are all in millions, right? Suppose
Right,
I these are all in millions. Suppose I have to show it in normal currency, which is this is how you'll be getting. What you'll doing it, you'll be increasing the column width all the time. You'll not like this to it's not pleasing to see that, right?
right.
So hence we are using that as a million as a common denominator as a representation. Across the sheet will have either in thousands, millions, or billions. It has to be that way. The entire sheet will be built that way for easier reference.
Okay, sir.
You are using a ballpark figure at the end, and we talk in million and billion. Other convertible debt you want me to repeat? I'll just show you the example of convertible again. We have already covered it. You can just have an eyeball to it. Quickly spend a minute on it and understand what is it. Current share price is 20. Basic shares outstanding is 100. Amount outstanding, which is the convertible principal, is 150. Conversion price is 15. So amount outstanding divided by conversion price will give me number of outstanding shares that are incremental in nature, which is 10. So suppose I have to convert this 150 into equity. So 150 divided by 15 is total 10 million as my equity that I'll get. Basic outstanding 100 and diluted as 110. So we'll not apply treasury over here. You already have received that funds, okay? I was expecting a question from you on that. Hello. Do you understand why we didn't apply treasury method over here?
No, sir.
सी टेट में आपने क्या करा, कंपनी के पास पैसा आ गया ना ऑलरेडी, ऑप्शन में मेरे पास पैसा आया नहीं, आएगा. जब वो वेस्ट होगा,
Yes, sir.
जब एम्प्लॉयज, अगर एम्प्लॉयज ने ऑलरेडी वो ऑप्शन एक्सरसाइज कर लिया, राइट, तो वो क्या हो रहा था, वो ऑलरेडी सब्ट्रैक्ट हो गया था ना यहाँ पर, अगर आप टेबल देखोगे, ग्रांटेड मतलब ऑलरेडी कंपनी ने ग्रांट कर दिया इतना शेयर्स,
Yes, sir.
स्टार्टिंग ऑफ द ईयर इतना था, इस साल एम्प्लॉयज ने इतने एक्सरसाइज कर लिया ऑप्शंस जो वेस्ट हो चुके हैं, और वो ये ग्रांट मतलब एडिशनल है, वेस्ट हो चुके हैं जो कंपनी ने इशू कर दिए, तो ये जो नेगेटिव नंबर है ये माइनस हुआ है. Similarly, if we look at कन्वर्टेबल डेट में क्या, कंपनी ने कन्वर्टेबल डेट इशू कर दिया, प्रोसीड्स तो आ गई है, राइट, ऑप्शन में प्रोसीड्स आई नहीं, आनी है. देयर इज अ डिफरेंस. डू यू अंडरस्टैंड इन टर्म्स ऑफ व्हाट दैट अंडरलाइंग सिक्योरिटी इज and how accounting treatment works for it. Options I am yet to issue. I have not received funds. Convertible debt I have already issued, but I'm just checking whether that convertible debt is in the money or not. So either it is treated as debt or as equity. If it is treated as debt, we will not be doing this exercise. We have to just compare the strike price and exercise price. So since 15
Okay.
is lower than the current price, hence it's in the money. Hence, अगर ये शेयर प्राइस 10 होता और कन्वर्जन प्राइस 15 ही होता, तो बॉन्ड होल्डर क्यों कट करते अपना? बॉन्ड होल्डर को तो नुकसान था ना 5 रुपए का पर शेयर पे, 50 मिलियन
Yes,
Exactly.
sir.
का. आई नॉट डू इट. I have given you additional notes to it. You might refer to this towards the, when you, this recorded session will be available for you. You can just refer it again. So, given the interest of time, I have to rush on other things. Why treasury stock is not applicable? The company does not receive any cash when both the two securities are converted to common. The amount of convertible debt company is usually quite high compared to stock option RSUs. If we apply the assumption that the company buys back the equal amount of convertible from the security, it would lead to a very high volatility. So we will ignore this. Just stick to this. This is what you need to understand. Now you have quite a quite a detailed understanding of this equation, isn't it? I now want to understand whether you understand what is enterprise value, this equation. There should not be any confusion. Equity value we have discussed in detail. Net debt, leases, preferred minority, and less associates, investments in associates.
Sir, in
Yeah,
enterprise value, we just calculate or we understand that it is a total number of shares and into price. So it is calculated, is treated as an enterprise value, no?
can you please repeat that question once more?
If we have to calculate the enterprise value, so we have to calculate through like number of shares and into
Yeah.
outstanding shares and into price. So it is assumed that it is a enterprise value.
No, equity
Am I
value
correct or
होगा.
not?
It is equity value. It is market cap, right?
Yes, sir.
What is enterprise means? Enterprise का मतलब ही क्या है? Total value of the firm. डेट और इक्विटी दोनों. अभी हम शेयर्स और शेयर प्राइस ले रहे हैं, तो वो खाली इक्विटी का वैल्यू कर रहा है ना, हमने पूरी फर्म का तो नहीं करा, लाइबिलिटीज को तो फैक्टर करा ही नहीं. तो hence that word enterprise, इक्विटी खाली
It's
इक्विटी
a
होता है
total.
उसके लिए। तो जब हम लाइबिलिटीज को भी ऐड करेंगे, एसेट्स को माइनस करेंगे करंट को, तभी हमारा एंटरप्राइज बनेगा ना टोटल वैल्यू में।
Yes, sir.
वर्ड से समझो, इसको लिंक करो, हर वर्ड का एक मतलब है। इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट वर्ड्स मीनिंग, यू विल नेवर गेट कंफ्यूज। रिमेंबर, दिस इज वन ऑफ द वेरी बेसिक क्वेश्चन दैट यू माइट encounter in any interview process or while doing any modeling. If you are not conversant with this equation, nothing else precedes that. Everything will be linked to it. Now, I would like to, before we start on working on it, the few of the terminologies is very important for, working in this model. Uh, Multiples will come back on what are these multiples, and so these terminologies you want me to explain. Well, I guess these you can just have a look at in the recorded session, pause it, and just see what is these. These are self-explanatory: return on equity, return on assets, return on invested capitals, earning per share, PE, net income. However, I would like to tell you where to and what to use. What are the various multiples? Before we proceed ahead on that, I'd like to show some time period notations that are very important uh, from any modeling perspective. So you will first try and understand what is this, and then I'll show you how do we make those numbers in these fit into these terminologies. So LFI, latest fiscal year. FYE, fiscal year ending. FYA, here is actuals. LTM, last 12 months, slash TTM, which is trailing 12 months, मतलब लास्ट के 12 महीने। CFI, current fiscal year. NFI, next fiscal year. NTM, next 12 months. CY, current year. MRQ, most recent quarter. YTD is year to date. NTM is, ठीक है, now understand. Latest fiscal year is as on today. Let's run something for you. Let's say MSFT, Microsoft. So, which is the 10K is the annual report. So, let's see which is the fiscal year for MSFT. See, first page number of shares outstanding. It's given over here as of July 24. So let us quickly go to the financial statement and supplement. This is fiscal year ended June 30. The latest fiscal year for MSFT is 30th June 2022. Suppose I have to take another example. Alphabet Google. Alphabet again will go to the, see, all the light items for 10K are standard. It's very easy to Go directly. So it is December. Latest fiscal year for both the companies are different. Apple and Microsoft and Google. Coming back to our slide, latest fiscal year for different company will be different. Fiscal year ending, fiscal year actuals are same. So now suppose as of June, so current fiscal year for company, latest financial years are same. These are interchangeably used. Suppose I have to calculate the last 12 months number of a company. This is my income statement, right? This is my income statement for MSFT. माइक्रोसॉफ्ट के लास्ट 12 मंथ्स नंबर, तो आज अक्टूबर चल रहा है, राइट? सो अभी तक कंपनी ने अपना सितंबर एंडेड के नंबर्स इशू नहीं करे, तो जोन से लेटेस्ट अवेलेबल कौन से है हमारे पास अभी? व्हाट इज द लेटेस्ट अवेलेबल नंबर दैट वी हैव? इज दिस 10K which is June ending? So this is again full year number. So total revenue is 198 billion. Okay, these numbers are million. So 198 billion is the, divide this by 1000 will give you billion. So 198 billion is the total revenue Microsoft generates in last 12 months. Ab, now see, for Google, I have this number in 10K as December 31st. So 257 billion is what Google generated, but this is for December. Now I have to, when I'm doing comparison, I have to be certain that it should be an apple to apple comparison. So to make those numbers reflective of the same period, that is June 30, 2022, what I have to do is I'll have to open a 10Q over here. 10Q will be latest quarterly filing company has reported. In this you'll see I have 3 months number, 3 months ended June and 6 months ended June. 3 मंथ्स एंडिंग जून का मतलब है 1 अप्रैल से लेकर 30 जून. 6 मंथ्स एंडिंग जून का मतलब है 1 जनवरी से लेकर 30 जून तक. सो जस्ट अंडरस्टैंड, ये 257 मिलियन, 257.6 बिलियन is for 31st December. From 1st Jan 2021 to 31st December 21, ये फुल ईयर का नंबर है. अब ये जो नंबर है 2021 का, दिस इज फ्रॉम विच पीरियड? 1st Jan 2021 to 30th June 2021. So do you think this 117 million will be a part of this? क्योंकि ये तो 12 महीने का, 1st Jan से लेकर 31st December तक का. However, this is for first 6 months of the year. ये full year 21 है. Let's take it in Excel. So what is this number? 257637. This is for the period of 1st Jan 2021 to 31st December 2021. ठीक है. Now let's see. We have this number which is 6 months ended. We have two numbers. One second. June 30, 2021, 2022. But I understand. This number, this is from 1st Jan 21. ठीक है? It's not copying the format. Anyhow, leave that. See, 1st Jan 21 to 31st December 21. This is 12 months period. This is 6 months period, which is also called as first half. H1, H1. I'm assuming that 117 will be a part of this. With okay, first half plus second half will make this 257. Anyone,
Sir.
right? तो सपोज मुझे ये सेकेंड हाफ का नंबर चाहिए तो मैं क्या करूंगा इक्वल टू दिस माइनस दिस ये टुगेदर बन के मुझे ये नंबर मिलेगा ना
Yes,
isn't it?
sir.
So that means कि this is a part of this is a part of this. So now I have to compute for LTM, which is as of 06/30/22. So what do I have? I have this full year, which is full year number, which is this. Then I have stub one. Stub one. We call it stub one. Stub one is basically latest 1H22. Stub minus 1 is 1H21. LTM would be तो 1H21 के नंबर क्या है मेरे पास दिस 117 और दिस इज 1H22 के नंबर ये हमने कहीं से नहीं लिया हमने डायरेक्टली फाइलिंग से लिए फर्स्ट हाफ ऑफ द फिस्कल fiscal year is this for 2021 first half of 22 is 137 तो stub one is जो latest fiscal year half reported number it could be quarterly it could be 9 months it could be क्वार्टरली हाफ ईयरली और 9 मंथ्स एलटीएम के लिए दिस इज माय प्रायर तो हम क्या कर रहे हैं सिंपली फिस्कल ईयर प्लस स्टब वन माइनस स्टब माइनस वन विल गिव मी एलटीएम नंबर 12 महीने का मैंने क्या करा है इसमें बेसिकली इसमें से मैंने ये 6 महीने के नंबर माइनस कर दिया दोबारा देखो ये में से मैंने ये माइनस कर दिया राइट पहले तो विच इज गिविंग मी रिमेनिंग 6 महीने के नंबर आ गए और उस 6 महीने में मैंने दोबारा करंट 6 महीने के ऐड कर दिए तो मुझे बेसिकली एलटीएम बनाने के लिए कौन सा पीरियड चाहिए आई नीड 1 जुलाई 2021 टू 30th June 2022, right?
Uh-huh. So basically, you've taken second half of the last year and first half of this year, right?
And the full year number. See, I have 12 months number available. I don't have this half yearly number available basically. Agar if I would have this half yearly number, so last 12 months would have been equal to my last half year number plus current half year number, which is basically 1st July. This number is basically what? 1st July to 30th, 31st December
December, yeah.
21. So if I would have these numbers, ये 6 महीने के नंबर अगर मुझे अवेलेबल होते, ये 6 महीने के नंबर मेरे पर अवेलेबल है, तो ये आई विल गेट दिस नंबर, 6 + 6 12 हो गए.
Exactly.
तो अब मेरे पास सपोज ऐसे नहीं है या मेरे को मल्टीपल फाइलिंग्स खोल के देखनी पड़ रही है, तो इज देयर एनी ईजियर, सपोज मुझे 10 कंपनीज ऐसे करनी है और मुझे एक पूरी इनकम स्टेटमेंट स्प्रेड करनी है ऐसे एलटीएम, इज देयर एनी ईजियर वे? तो द इजीएस्ट वे इज open the open just two filings, full year, which is the annual report, and then we open the latest quarterly available, जिसमें मुझे 6 months के numbers भी मिल गए. What I have done is I have in the from the full year I have subtracted the first half year because मुझे 1st जुलाई से पहले के नंबर 1st जैन से लेकर 30 जून तक के नंबर नहीं चाहिए, मुझे खाली रिमाइंडर 6 months चाहिए. तो मैंने फर्स्ट 6 months उसमें से माइनस कर दिया टू गेट द रिमाइंडर हाफ, which is this exactly this way. For your reference, the full year minus the first half will give me the second half number. So now I'll add this second half with the first half of Jan 22 to give me a full year number, which is latest 12 months. आखिरी के 12 recent most 12 महीने numbers चाहिए. So now 278 is comparable to what? My MSFT number to 198. When I'm valuing a company, making a peer comparable, remember that peer comparison. Trading comparable is peer comparison. Uh, we have to do an apple to apple comparison, because if I don't do apple to apple, uh, this 278 that I'm getting is higher than 257. It could be lower also, it could be higher also. So when I'm comparing two companies which has a different reporting period, it makes my job even difficult. I have to first normalize those numbers to a same reporting period so that those numbers are comparable between those two companies. Do you need a break for quick 5 minutes? Or let's break at 10. Let's break at 10, I'll say. For
Yes, sir.
right?
Sure, sir.
Uh, is there any confusion in LTM or trailing 12 months? Is there any confusion over here? So this is what we are doing over here. You can ignore the above part. It's just this part that you need to focus on. This is pure plus minus, but need to understand why we are doing and what is exactly the output we want to. For the full year, I have to subtract the first half, so I'll subtract this number and add the first half of the reset. So hence, I'm adding it in the full year. Now, what is my? At times, you'll see LQA, latest quarter annualized. So, अगर मुझे company, if I have the latest quarterly number, which is this, I'm just multiplying it by 4 because this is only 3 months numbers. So LQS latest quarter को अगर मैं annualize करना चाहूँ, to just understand, if this is my current performance and I have to base this as my performance for the remainder of the year, what would be the a hypothetical performance of the company for the full year? So I'll just multiply that with 4. What is year to date? This is year to date, 6 months number. कंपनी का ईयर कब से स्टार्ट होता है? हर कंपनी का अलग से. But I'll for year to date we'll have to take calendar year. These are all fiscal years. Calendar year is 1st Jan to 31st December. So always try and remember that. There's a difference between a fiscal year and a calendar year. Calendar year functions the way our normal calendar works. Fiscal year may be different for a country, for a different geography. India fiscal year is 1st April to 31st March. US generally it is 1st Jan to 31st December. However, you can also see different companies having different fiscal year in US. There could be some September ending companies, there could be some August ending company as well. Acha, suppose these numbers were August, what would have we do? What can we do about it then? Is there any other way to do it? I'll just quickly walk you through. This is a very important thing. Suppose if instead of June it is August.
And then
Hypothetically.
five months of the previous quarter we will take, and for the this month, uh, um,
So
7 months we
so
will take.
this will be also August in that case. If this is 6 months is no, this will be what? Suppose take the fiscal year as 31st December. It will be September ending. It will be also no. Then how many months are there? It will not be August, right? 8 months. It has to be ideally November ending, right? And this will be 9 months, right? Now it makes sense. This will be November. 30th November, December and August 8, तो 9 months हो गए. सपोज ये सिचुएशन होती, इस केस में क्या कर रहे होते? विल हैव टू प्रोरेट इन दैट केस इक्वल टू ये 12 महीने के नंबर है. लेट्स डू विद दिस टेबल इटसेल्फ ओनली. 12 महीने के स्टब 1 इज माय दिस, स्टब 1 इज माय दिस एंड स्टब 2 इज माय दिस. तो मैं एलटीएम का फॉर्मूला यहाँ क्विकली कॉपी कर लेता हूँ, विच इज नथिंग बट दिस प्लस दिस माइनस दिस. बट ये तो मुझे अगस्त एंडिंग के दे रहा है. So can I use LTM formula? I don't think so. It's right to use LTM formula in that. So instead, what I'll do is I'll take this. इसमें से दिस इज माय अगस्त नंबर ना. इसमें से मुझे सपोज इसमें से मुझे कितने महीने के नंबर चाहिए? This is sorry. This divided by 8. 8 will give me per month number, पर मंथ की एवरेज. अब मुझे इसमें से खाली 6 महीने के नंबर चाहिए. मैं मल्टीप्लाई कर दूंगा, ये 6 महीने के नंबर आ गए. इसमें से मुझे कितने महीने के नंबर चाहिए? 6 मंथ्स ही चाहिए ना? डिवाइड बाय 12 into 6. ठीक है. What we have done is I need 6 months of this. These are 8 month 9 months numbers. बट मुझे 1 जैन से लेकर 30 जून तक के नंबर ही चाहिए. तो मैंने प्रोरेट करा. मैंने क्या करा, फर्स्ट 6 मंथ्स मतलब डिवाइड दिस बाय, सिंस इट इज 9 मंथ्स नंबर, मैंने फॉर्मूला गलत लगाया. सिंस इज 9 मंथ्स नंबर, सो पर मंथ एवरेज आ गई मेरी, और मैं मल्टीप्लाई कर दूंगा 6 महीनों से. मुझे 6 महीने चाहिए. एंड सिमिलरली फॉर द फिजिकल ईयर, divide by 12 into 6. This will give me 12 months. That's the easiest way to do. You just prorate, simply prorate. So we'll take a pause over here. Well, this is a bit tricky case, but this is very much relevant when we do trading comparables. Let me know if anyone is still unclear with this. I'll just quickly repeat it for you.
Yes, me too. Me.
Uh, this is my, suppose this is my November ending number. नवंबर एंडिंग. पहले हमने एज्यूम करा था, ऊपर वाला एग्जांपल सबको क्लियर होगा, राइट? उसमें हम जून था और दिसंबर था, राइट? बट करेंटली इफ यू हैव दिस एज नवंबर एंडिंग, दिस इज माय
Yes,
फिजिकल
sir.
ईयर नवंबर एंडिंग, दिस इज माय सितंबर अगस्त एंडिंग, दिस इज माय अगस्त एंडिंग नंबर, recent August ending number, which is 9 months number. This is my again 9 months number. This number is for 21 9 months number. ये stub similar fashion में we have just created a stub in that similar fashion. If I have to do LTM, it would be just this plus the current stub less the prior stub. This is the number that I'll be getting, exactly the same, but this will be as of August 31st 2022 LTM. but मुझे तो as of जून करना है इसको, तो आई हैव टू कैलेंडराइज इट. मुझे जून के नंबर बनाना है इसको, नॉट अगस्त के, बिकॉज माई अदर कंपनी इज जून एंडिंग. तो अदर आई मेक द जून company to August or make the August company to June. So it will always be advisable to take the August company to June because I have the numbers available for that company. I'm not forecasting anything. I'm just prorating. So hence it is important not to forecast. Prorate is the word. So easiest way around is you take the August ending numbers, convert it into 6 months. How do you convert it? In 9 months के नंबर है बेसिकली. ये 1 दिसंबर, वी आर अज्यूमिंग 1 दिसंबर से लेकर अगस्त एंडिंग नंबर है, 9 मंथ्स का पीरियड हुआ. डिवाइडिंग इट टू मेक इट एज पर मंथ क्या है, इंटू 6 विल गिव मी 6 मंथ्स नंबर. सिमिलरली 12 महीने में से मुझे अब रिमेनिंग 6 महीने ही चाहिए, तो आई एम डिवाइडिंग इट बाय 12, मल्टीप्लाइंग इट बाय 6. इट्स प्योर मैथमेटिकल कैलकुलेशन प्लस नथिंग एल्स. ये एक हाइपोथेटिकल एग्जांपल है, बट इट इज वेरी मच applicable when you will be doing, you will understand. Any doubt, you will have this session to fall back upon, no worries, but just in case you have any doubt, just let me know. We'll take a quick 5 minutes break and then come back. 5-10 minutes break, come back again.
Sure, sir. I just one question, sir.
Please
The
go
number
ahead.
that we have used here in step one is 8 months number, right? So we'll be dividing it by 8, I guess.
No, this is actually 9 months number, right? एट
Okay.
मंथ्स का कोई नंबर्स होता नहीं है, कोई क्वार्टर, हर क्वार्टर इज बेसिकली 3 months का, तो
Yeah,
3 into 3
correct.
would be 9. It cannot be 8 months of a quarter.
Okay, okay, okay.
So similarly, next 12 months will also be computed the same way. Our next 12 months would be computed. Suppose uh, we are at, say, it's a June reporting. My fiscal year is June reporting. This is my fiscal year. Uh, and the estimates available for me is FYE, fiscal year ending, um, no, the CY, calendar year ending 12/31/22. Remember, this is not ended. अभी ये 12 महीने के नंबर है, from 01/01/22 to 12/31/22. Suppose this is 125, this is 150. If I have to make it full year, ये 12 महीने का, तो ये यहाँ से मैं 6 महीने के लूँगा. आइडली तो मैं नेक्स्ट 12 months चाहिए, सॉरी, 23 है सपोज. This is how would I do that? Anyone? Question is 6 months के. Now I have to say next 12 months number. These are the three numbers that is available to us. I have to calculate next 12 months. How do I calculate it? Anyone?
For the current fiscal year, we will take the 6 months number and
So you're
from
saying we'll
next.
take this number.
Yes, sir. It's no, it's given. Yes, yes. We will take that.
नेक्स्ट 12 months का रिपोर्टिंग पता क्या हुआ? आज की डेट है 6/30. सो नेक्स्ट 12 months का नंबर है मुझे बनाने 6/30. पहले तो वील हैव टू जस्ट मेक श्योर कि वी मेक इट राइट डाउन कि मुझे 6 months का पीरियड कब से कब तक चाहिए. शुड बी 07/01/22 to this will be 12 months. This is the 12 months. Next 12 months, 1st July 22 to 6/30/23 is the next 12 months reporting period. which I don't have it, right? But basis this is an insufficient information. I will not be able to compute it because मेरे पास missing links हैं यहाँ पर. To get that, I need another piece of information, which is CY. बहुत important है, ये ध्यान रखना है. Understanding the periods that I have. So now I have this as ये full year number है, ये full year number है, ये full year number है, ये 6 months number है. Now is it easy?
Yes, sir.
What would be the formula?
To be 145 divided by 12 into 6.
145 में से मैं ये माइनस कर दूंगा
Yeah, sure. Right, right, right.
प्लस
That's
डिवाइड बाय
155.
2. दिस शुड आइडली बी 60. इतना ज़्यादा नहीं हो सकता 6 मंथ्स का और उसका नंबर. तो 6 महीने का नंबर 60 है. फुल ईयर का नंबर एक्सपेक्टेड ब्रोकर रिपोर्ट से 145 है. फर्स्ट फिजिकल ईयर दैट इज CYE और I'm assuming FY and CY is same for this company. Fiscal year being this, calendar year is also same. Fiscal year and calendar year are same for this company, which is 31st December 21. So 1 year forecast is this. Second year forecast is 155. So there are two ways to compute it. One is to get as precise as possible. तो हमारे पास करंट 6 महीने के नंबर तो अवेलेबल है, तो हम एज्यूम कर रहे हैं कि एस्टिमेट्स में ये 6 महीने के नंबर है और अनदर 6 महीने ही फोरकास्ट है. तो मैंने जो 6 महीने के फोरकास्ट है वो ले लिए, विच इज 145 minus 60. 85 is the remainder. 1st जुलाई 22 से लेकर 31st दिसंबर 22, राइट. 85. अब मुझे नेक्स्ट 6 महीने चाहिए. नेक्स्ट 6 महीने के लिए आई एम जस्ट प्रोपोर्शनेटिंग इट. फुल ईयर को बेसिकली डिवाइड बाय 12 करा, इंटू 2 कर दिया, इंटू 6 कर दिया, सॉरी. तो पर मंथ नंबर इज 155 डिवाइड बाय 12 इज पर मंथ, इंटू 6 मंथ्स चाहिए तो इंटू 6 कर दिया. The other way is, if we don't want to, so this is one step ahead. If I just have broker reports and do a quick math, what I'll do is I'll divide this by 2 plus divide this by 2. Simple. सपोज मेरे पास 20 कंपनीज का करना है तो मैं ये वाला अप्रोच यूज करूंगा. एक कंपनी का करना है डिटेल में तो मैं ये वाला अप्रोच यूज करूंगा. बोथ द अप्रोचेस आर गिविंग मी डिफरेंट नंबर. दिस इज अ मोर accurate and concise number. This is just a rough back of the envelope calculation. Always make a timeline. Always make a timeline.
Sir, suppose for the fiscal year like 21, if it were current year and the fiscal year would have been different, so how, like what are the impacts we can see?
So, can you relate your question with this equation? Just let me know what your question exactly is.
Sir, you mentioned that like here fiscal year and current year for
Calendar year.
2000. Yeah, we have, sorry.
We have the
We
same
have,
fiscal year and
yeah,
calendar
yeah.
year.
So if it would have been different, how it will impact the.
Suppose my fiscal year was right? This is my fiscal year, like for MSFT. So broker भी क्या करेंगे, मुझे fiscal year ending number ही देंगे. It will be 06, 30, 23 and so on, right? Brokers भी इसी format में देंगे. Fiscal year ending +1, fiscal year ending +2, ठीक है? ये actual है, right? ये 100 है, ये 120 है, ये 140, right? This is how the broker reports will be giving me. Fiscal year format में ही देंगे. तो उसके लिए मैं फिर ये वाला मेथड यूज करूंगा. मुझे नेक्स्ट 12 मंथ्स चाहिए. नेक्स्ट 12 मंथ्स के लिए मुझे करंट नंबर्स तो चाहिए नहीं है. मुझे इसमें से 6 महीने चाहिए या पूरे 12 महीने चाहिए होंगे इसमें से, बताइए. तो रिमेंबर, ऑलवेज चेक ऑन कि ये नंबर कौन से पीरियड के लिए रिप्रेजेंट हो रहा है. मुझे एज ऑन नेक्स्ट 12 मंथ्स फॉर एज ऑन current date would be 06/30/23 ना. This is my NTM also. I don't need to do anything over here. I'll just use this as my next 12 months number. ये फुल ईयर नंबर ही है ना मेरे पास, मुझे यहाँ पर फॉर्मूला लगाने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. आई डोंट नीड टू डू एनी मैथ्स, क्योंकि दिस इज अ फुल ईयर नेक्स्ट 12 मंथ्स नंबर ओनली. बिकॉज यू सेड ना कि मेरा कैलेंडर ईयर जो ये फिस्कल ईयर है अगर डिफरेंट होता है कैलेंडर ईयर से तो क्या इम्पैक्ट होता. द इम्पैक्ट इज आई नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड what is the time frame and what time frame I am calculating the number for.
Got it.
So it's not always that you just apply that formula. So this process is called basically calendarization, determining the number for the calendar period for the purpose of comparison in case of different reporting time period of companies. Uh, no, before now, let's just uh, try and understand why are we doing this exercise. I'll further go down into deep before we, once we come to this step. I'll just walk you through that. So let us see various steps. So as we had initially discussed, there are two ways, two valuation approaches. One is relative, and the other is one is relative, and one is fundamental. So we are covering now trading comparables as of now. So why do we do trading comparables, and what are the steps involved in trading comparables? First step is identifying key comparables. How do you identify key comparables? Suppose I am valuing a company, say sugar company. Let's relate to an Indian example so that you can better relate. So there are two kinds of geographies, regions in India where we have sugar being produced. One is South India and one is the UP belt. Now UP belt has a sugar producing days as 180 days, whereas in South we have number of days as 270. So are these two comparables? No, these are not two comparables because we have 90 days additional crushing season for sugar companies in South India. So hence, I am a private company who is based out of UP. So I'll only take comparable companies as UP because other UP companies will also have the same crushing period. So I have to go that granular. So how do I go? So now try and understand from a generic perspective. The first step is first you need to understand what company you are valuing. What does it do? Where is it based out of? What is its financial? First step is understanding the key primary industry, whether it is automotive ancillary, original equipment manufacturer, or for say IT, whether it is a software producer, product as a service, as SaaS or PaaS, into IoT, automotive, AI, or maybe for a e-commerce, whether it's into food or a grocery, or maybe an apparel, or it is a marketplace. So there could be n number of things that a company must be doing. Now you need to identify, understand, and it should be deeply understood what does the company's core operation is, what are the various products and services it has. So now I'll go to any of the databases or even company filings, and company might say that these are my closest peers. Basis that you will run a query in a say in a FactSet or a Capital IQ or Capital Line screening. There is a screening tab. I'll click on that. Now they'll ask me what are the various parameters you need to. So you'll say all the public companies, all the companies which are based out of UP and in sugar sector. Now they'll say there are 20 odd companies. I'll show you an example. So this is the list I'll get. I got how many? 73. How many companies? Roughly 70 odd companies. Out of that, I only chose these many companies.
From where we can take the data of this of comparables companies.
So there are certain databases. When you work for a company, you will get access to a lot of databases that banks generally work. They have subscribed to. So from one of the databases, you'll get this list after putting in filters. You have list of all these sugar companies, listed sugar companies. Out of that, you will select only the specific. So how do you further refine it? Now you will see. Suppose this is your hypothetically this is your main company, equity capital enterprise value. So the enterprise value is not comparable always. Never ever put enterprise value as a filter, because it's a function of debt also. Where market cap can be a parameter, because enterprise value, why? Because there will be some companies which will be high on cash and low on debt. Some will have no debt at all. Some will have very high debt. This will distort my uh, selection. Hence, the best way is to look for market cap. I'll say my company. Suppose this is my private company. I don't have hypothetically market cap. These numbers I don't have. What I'll do is I'll look for sales in that case. Suppose this would have been my public company, then I'll also add market cap, not equity capital base, equity value. In fact, I'll say what is my market cap. I'll say if the market cap is say 100, I'll say a filter of plus minus 20%. Within that ballpark figure, I need list of companies who fall in that category and should have a sales of again plus minus 20% of sales that I have in this company. This is the first most parameter that I use. If I'm getting lot of, if I'm getting less hit in that 20%, I'll increase say 30%. If I'm getting very high number of hits in 20%, I'll reduce it to 10%. So it's basically getting as much closer to your main company as possible. So see over here, Triveni, it has a high, it's more than twice the symbolic. So ideally, I'll exclude it. I purposefully added just to show you. Given it's very high, I'll exclude it. The others are in the either in 50% plus minus range. This you will get as a dump, and this dump can be of all the sugar companies. This can be a dump from the basis uh, a filter of geography and a filter for market cap, a filter for sales. There are specific comparables. These are the basic categories that we should always, use as an identifier for selecting the comparables. Understanding what if the company is in the same product line, same geographies, similar kind of sales, similar kind of market cap.
Also, sir, can we use NIC database like from there, like if it the codes matching and
NICs,
accordingly?
yes, NIC is one of the database, but yes, NIC cannot at times can be so this can be always there. NIC since right now if you have to select that is the best alternative you have. But once you are working for a bank, you will have access to various databases. There are set of companies who actually maintain them. So we don't have a lot of time in that sense. We have to quickly go and also perform the spread these companies also. So identifying them using those databases is always advisable. Suppose I don't have access to database, I'll go through first 10K. Understand if there is any peers mentioned. See, getting it. Microsoft search engines comparables, vertical comparables. It is listed out. This is the first thing. When company is saying that it's my comparable. Now within that, if it is a diversified player, since MSFT is a diversified player, so it has different comparables under different verticals. The most difficult part is doing trading comparables for a diversified company. Say for Reliance, what kind of a comparables you will get?
Sir, being a student, like right now, if we have to find out the data, so like suppose we found out the like competitors. So after that, like what are the sites we can use in general to collect the like NSC or BSC from that?
And NSC, NIC is the tickers. NSC, BSC will not give you competitors.
No, like comparables, like multiples which we have to find out.
So
I mean, something.
we have to calculate those multiples here. There is no shortcut over here. When we're doing a deep dive investment banking course module, we need to actually go and be very closer to what we want actually for comparison. We have to individually go and compute these multiples. We'll come back to the multiples after this. Now is spread the financials. Spreading financials using this template. We'll spread the historicals. See, we have prior stuff, we have current stuff, we are also calculating LTM. Hence, I discuss the LTM part. Three historical year, prior stuff, current stuff, and we have to compute the sales, gross profit, EBIT, net income, and then we will also uh, have EBITDA, adjusted EBITDA. So once we spread this number as it is, then we have to adjust for these numbers. We'll come to the adjustment later. Now calculate, then spreading the financials. Just understand these steps. We'll come to spreading financial in detail. Then we'll calculate the trading multiples. Then we'll benchmark the comparable companies and then determine the value. So once we spread those numbers, suppose we have spread those numbers, we'll come up with the multiples. What is the trailing 12 months PE, EV by EBITDA, and basis that how is our company trading. Suppose it's a private company and we have to use a ballpark figure to calculate the valuation. So if this is my EBITDA, EV by sales, or we can use the average of these. 1.59 is the average. Suppose I have to multiply this with my sales. This is the enterprise value I expect multiplied by the listing discount, which is 25%. 1 minus t. This is the value that I expect as a ballpark figure. That's how we do it. A simple. You'll do the average, multiply that average with your sales to calculate. If this would have been EBITDA, so I would have multiplied this by EBITDA to get at EV. Now we also, since if it is a private, so I have to give a listing discount. These are not tradable. So I have to give a listing discount to it, and that's how I'll get a buy comparable valuation for this company. I can also check how am I trading basis that. Now let's get deep into understanding how do we spread financials. To understand the business of the company to be valued. Again, step one, understand this industry, sector, subsector, products, what are the various services offered. Is it a pure player or offers a range of services? Example, in BPO, business process outsourcing or knowledge process outsourcing. This is a contract contact center or a contact center plus consultancy plus knowledge service. Telecom is it voice or voice plus broadband. Oil and gas is it upstream, downstream, midstream. Geography, where the headquarters is based out of. What is the regional versus global size, market cap, and revenue? This we have already covered, right? I just told you how to identify these. You can always go back and uh, refer to this video recording. Identify comparable companies. Uh, these are the filters, operational as well as financial filters that we may apply to a database. So it's like, if you go to Mintra and you need to procure something for kids, so you will search kids. Within that, you will say, is it an infant, is it a boy or a girl? Then you will further filter the age of it. Then you further filter the size or the product that you want. Then you will further filter. Just a second. Sorry. Sorry. Then similarly, like I hope you're understanding with the help of that Mintra example, right? That's how you add on filters. As in, similarly, these filters are applicable to a database. Any questions on that? I know you will not be able to see cyclicity. I just told you seasonality. I told you geography, customers, market. These are the operations. Financial, we generally not look into it. Institutional holdings is if depends. If I am using that filter for an acquisition target, what is the institutional holding it has? So I hope you're. It's a similar platform like a Mintra only. In online.
Sir, can we say that here we apply the concept of EIC as well?
EIC, what is that?
So, economy, industry, and company analysis.
Absolutely right. It's the same thing, right? Now you ask the question, right? Where can we use this? How can we get these? So company annual. I just show you company annual report, broker report, market players, subscription based databases, industry association websites, Google Finance, desktop search. Now, just these are the predefined industry codes that we have. You can just Google around and you will see, various subcategories have a different code. At times there'll be there is this gem that got listed. I don't remember. It's from T. Talwalkars. Has anyone heard of it?
Yes, sir. Talwarkar's Fitness.
So that was a classic example where you don't have a comparables in operating in India. Any listed player. That was the first listed player in India. So now you have to relax your geographical criteria. You might go for similar geographies like India, a democracy, like you see, EC, EIS, economic industry company. So now you need to modify your comparables to an extent. So this is what you have to go through always. You have to be always on your toes. If you are not getting the right result, but you have to at the end come up with a value, creating value. How do you go about it? Then you have to relax your filters. If no companies or is too scarce, then one can expand criteria such as revenue range, geography, ownership, BT, use alternative keywords. Again, it is a subjective. No two people will have all the data same. Well, maybe common factors, but not 100%. So suppose there is this ANF company, which is operates specialty stores and direct to consumer operations, selling sports wears, casual wears, outwears, personal care products, and accessories in North America, Europe, and Japan. The keywords for retail apparel operations mainly US focus. North America being predominantly its primary geography, with few stores in Europe and Japan. Hence, we drilled it down to US focus. Now, when we added that as filter, so my main company should also be coming up in that filter if it's private players that we are comparing. Then you have other players like Gap, the Buckles, URBN, AO, Chico's, Limited Brand. So these are the filters that we were getting. So we had that revenue and market cap, LTM sales close to 36 billion. So we had these. So BK is purely very low in terms of sales. Hardly how much? 30% of it. We'll exclude it. The gap is four times bigger. We'll have to choose. The remaining comparable one, two, three, or four at max we can select. So these are the things we have to look for. It's a continuous process. One filter, one hit, maybe change toggles, maybe change around it, and then see. So now is the most important part is to spread the comparables. So suppose this is one company, we might need to copy, either delete everything and then make a copy of it, create copies, and add on those copies. If we have five companies that we, then we need to spread financials for all of them. How we'll do it? I'll just walk you through. Before I walk you through, I need to touch base upon few adjustments that we need to do. So remember, we are valuing a company for their normal course of operation. Anything has happened in a course of year, which company has shown its in income statement, and which is not recurring in nature, right? We need to exclude that. All non-cash items we need to exclude it while calculating. So I'll talk about few of the adjustments and provide you a bit of reasoning behind it. Uh, and what are the common adjustments or the non-recurring items that we generally see in various kind of industries. So you might be working in n number of industries. I have chosen few of them just to give you an indication of how it is. Suppose a company who is into basic materials, mining, cement, manufacturing cement, steel, and coal. So you will see profit on loss on sale of investment associate property. Such gain arises as a part of internal restructuring exercise, which companies involved in basic materials tend to undertake periodically. These are not reckoning in items, so we need to exclude it if this is below the line above the line item. By above the line item, I mean to say is above operating profit, above EBIT, but also for net income. Then oil and gas who are into drilling. So dry hole cost, indemnity losses, dry hole costs are costs associated with exploratory or development well, which is found to be incapable of producing sufficient quantities of oil and gas to justify it as an oil and gas well. Under non-GAAP measures, dry hole costs are added back to arrive at adjusted profitability. So आपने एक कुआं खोदा, उसमें से तेल नहीं निकला, वो ड्राई होल हो गया, आपने कॉस्ट इनकर करी, और उसको भरने के लिए भी आप कॉस्ट करोगे. तो दिस इज नॉट, और भरने के लिए टेक्स एन एक्सपेंडिचर. सो यू विल से यार नॉर्मल कोर्स ऑफ एक्टिविटी थोड़ी है भरना, वो वन ऑफ ही है, तो आई जस्ट एक्सक्लूड इट as expense. I'll If that has been charged to my bit, I'll add it back. Indemnity losses on oil and gas contracts occur of such as infrequent in nature. Like British Petroleum का याद है वो ऑयल लीक हो गया था पाइपलाइन से या वेल से उधर समवेयर इन दी जो उनकी रिग थी दैट हैड अ लीकेज. The entire sea was flooded with oil. So the government asked them to clean that up and pay for the damages, fisheries and all, जिसको भी जो डैमेज हुआ. That was one time in nature. एक लॉस हुआ वो बहुत बड़ा. That is not my recurring expense, so I'll exclude that. Airlines. Unrealized gain on hedging of fuel instrument, gain on sale of aircraft. Company is not into hedging or derivative instruments के अंदर. Nowadays, derivative is considered as my normal course of action because everyone is globalized. Earlier we were not globalized, तो ये पहले हम इसको one off मानते थे. Now it is not considered as one off. All the companies which has global operations will have receivables as in dollar dominated or in any country that they will be doing contracts with. Either they have expenses that they have to pay or they have incomes that they have to receive. So these now it's a very volatile environment. Every company enters into a derivative contract to hedge their receivables and payables. So hence these are now a normal course of business for a company. But whereas gain and sale of aircrafts are generally an activities that uh, these airlines generally uh, enter in, but since these companies is not into sale and purchase of aircraft, they are into providing a service, transportation service. Hence, it's one of. So, if you understand what is company service, you will be better able to understand what is that one-time expense. Automobile loss due to strike, loss due to natural calamities. Again, this is self-explanatory. Chemicals. So chemiकल कंपनीज के अंदर एनवायरमेंटल रेमिडिएशन चार्जेस हरिकेन्स कुछ हो रहा है लेबर रिलेटेड लिटिगेशन दीज आर वन ऑफ थिंग्स ये recurring नहीं है but these are the expenses at times charged to income statement which we need to add it back. Pharmaceutical company impairment charges dispute settlement arbitration लोग केस वेस बहुत करते रहते हैं पेटेंट के लिए कि आपने पहले बनाया वो तो लीगल चार्जेस होंगे लॉयर्स के चार्जेस होंगे आर्बिट्रेशन में कोई सेटलमेंट है कोर्ट ने कहा नहीं आप ही फॉल्टी हो तो वन ऑफ है तो you have to pay. Technology SBC stock based compensation which we did which is like non cash in nature. These IT companies generally tend to reward their employees in the form of options. These are non cash in nature, hence we need to add it back. So why we are adding back? Since you will say that it is recurring, हर कंपनी हर साल करती है, बट कुछ आईटी कंपनीज ऐसी भी तो होंगी जो स्टॉक बेस्ड कंपनसेशन नहीं देती, तब क्या करेंगे? हाउ डू वी मेक इट कंपेरेबल? अमोर्टाइजेशन ऑफ सॉफ्टवेयर ओवर टाइम, इन्वेंट्री राइट डाउन, गुडविल, ये सारी चीजें वी हैव टू एड इट बैक. Hotels, equity earnings from unconsolidated ventures, gain and sale of real estate. You can always refer back to, or maybe you can ask me whenever there is an issue. रिटेल स्टोर एग्जिट चार्जेस, एक स्टोर को हमने बनाया पूरा उसका रिवैप करा, अब उसको हम वाइंड डाउन कर रहे हैं, वाइंड अप कर रहे हैं, तो उसमें जो भी फिक्सचर्स एंड फिटिंग्स है उसकी जो है और मे बी जो लीज हमने एंटर करी हुई है वो सब 6 महीने में भी प्लान किया यार ये एरिया तो अच्छा नहीं है, यहाँ पर कोई फुटफॉल नहीं है, आगे भी डेवलपमेंट नहीं है, इट्स अ मिस्टेक. तो व्हाट आई विल डू है, आई विल से कि मेरे को 3 महीने का तो मेरा फिक्स लीज था, मुझे 2.5 साल का और देना है, तो आई हैव टू पे दैट क्लोजर चार्जेस. Now remember, when you spread the financials, net income may there will be a time company will say net income and loss from continuing operation and income from loss from discontinuing operation and a total including both continuing and discontinuing. So remember only to take continuing operations जो मेरे regular course of operations में. Discontinued operations are those which company at the beginning of the year says either they have entered into a the sale purchase agreement to wind off that business and they have already in a contract to sell that, they have excluded that from and showed as discontinued, or they are planning to sell it off, or they are planning to wind it off. तो सपोज फुल ईयर में पहले 3 महीने में उसके रेवेन्यूज इनकर हुए, तो एट द एंड ऑफ द ईयर कंपनी से कि हम यहाँ हम इसको डिसकंटिन्यू ही कर रहे हैं, तो आर फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट आर इंक्लूसिव ऑफ इट. हाउएवर इफ वी हैव टू शो इट एज अ डिसकंटिन्यूड तो हमारा कंटिन्यूइंग ऑपरेशन से ये है, तो हम कंटिन्यूइंग ऑपरेशन ही लेंगे बिकॉज वी आर अज्यूमिंग दैट द कंपनी इज अ गोइंग कंसर्न. हम खाली वो ही चीजें फैक्टर करेंगे जो रेकरिंग और रेगुलर और आगे भी कैरी फॉरवर्ड रहेगी. LTM I have discussed. Calendarization I have discussed. Adjustments of non-recurring items. Again, just let me quickly walk you through. To assess the performance of a company on a normalized basis, it is a standard practice to adjust.
Sir,
Yep,
can you zoom it?
I did that. To
Okay.
assess the performance of a company on a normalized basis, it is a standard practice to adjust reported financial data for a non-recurring item, known as scrubbing or sanitizing the financials. These are the two terms we use to say कि normalize करा नहीं करा. Have you scrubbed the financials? Have you sanitized it? जब ऐसे terminologies को use करें उसका मतलब है have you adjusted for non-recurring items. It includes add back or elimination of one-time charges and gains respectively to create a more indicative view of ongoing performance. Typically, charges include restructuring charges, loss on sale of assets, change in accounting principles, inventory write-off, goodwill impairment, extinguishment of debt, loss from litigation settlement, etc. Typical benefits. ऊपर वाले charges हैं, नीचे वाले bottoms are benefits. Benefit include gain from sale of assets, favorable litigation settlement, you receive money, tax adjustments. When adjusting for non-recurring item, it is important to distinguish between pre-tax and after-tax amount. So EBITDA में we should not be worrying about SBC, as you know उसमें तो but when we calculate net income and we are adding back stock based compensation, तो कंपनी ने तो उस एक्सपेंस का बेनिफिट ले लिया है, राइट. नेट इनकम में कैसे होगा एक्सपेंस, आपने अपना टोटल ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट रिड्यूस करा हुआ है स्टॉक बेस्ड कंपनसेशन से, आपकी अर्निंग्स ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट उस अमाउंट से रिड्यूस हुई है, आपका नेट इनकम प्रॉफिट बिफोर टैक्स भी उस अमाउंट से रिड्यूस हुआ है, तो आप जो टैक्स पे करोगे वो प्रॉफिट बिफोर टैक्स पे करोगे, राइट. तो दैट अमाउंट इज लोअर. नाउ व्हेन यू एड इट बैक, तो आई हैव आल्सो एडजस्ट फॉर टैक्स. मुझे टैक्स उतना ही एक्स्ट्रा देना पड़ेगा क्योंकि मेरा प्रॉफिट बाय ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट पहले जो एक्स था अब एक्स प्लस वाई हो गया, तो मुझे वो जो वाई नंबर है उस पर भी तो टैक्स देना पड़ेगा. तो आई हैव टू आल्सो एडजस्ट द टैक्स अमाउंट while calculating net income, adjusted net income. Any doubt? EBITDA and EBITDA we should not worry about it because it's anyhow before tax. See why we are again and again covering small things. This is very important to again have a gauge कि हमने क्या principles touch base upon कर लिया है नहीं. We will be revisiting everything because that's how you will be able to connect it and imbibe it like a Bible, right? Equity value we have covered it. Any doubts you can stop me there and there. We have calculated it. We have done this.
Sir, so gain from asset sales, is it a part of other income line item or other comprehensive income?
The other item, no?
Other income.
I'll show you example. Let's see. Now, here we are not seeing any expense, right? इसमें कोई भी ऐसा expense नहीं है जो one time लग रहा है. We'll see annual report क्या कहती है. See, understood?
Yes, sir.
आ गया ये देखो. 19 में था, 20 में नहीं है, 21 में नहीं है. आपको लग ही रहा है ना रेकरिंग नेचर नहीं है क्योंकि बाकी 2 साल नहीं है, 1 साल था पहले. समझ रहे हो? It's very easy. Just need to understand the
Right, sir.
flow of things. So I'm
Right.
just telling you each and everything in detail to just make sure you are able to understand the flow. These things you will not get anywhere. So make sure that you pay attention to what I'm saying. If you're not, just ask a question. Since it's a live session and hence it's for your benefit of understanding. Now let us see what is the other. I'm not seeing any. So at times I need to go to cash flow. स्टॉक बेस्ड कंपनसेशन, सो डीएनए यहाँ पर भी नहीं दिख रहा ना, राइट? अब मुझे EBITDA कैलकुलेट करना है, तो आई विल डू व्हाट? ऑपरेटिंग इनकम प्लस डीएनए। यहाँ डीएनए दिख रहा है कहीं पर? नहीं ना। डीएनए हम क्या करेंगे? विल गो टू कैश फ्लो and take DNA from cash flow. Similarly, there are few items that are grouped under any of these headings, but that would be very much visible in cash flow. So it becomes equally important to look at the cash flow statement while adjusting for it. Don't worry, company also report 8Ks. See, you see in 8K, company provides their adjusted earnings.
So what's an 8K report?
8K is an interim report,
Okay.
unaudited. Excuse me. No, it is not. We are audited. He's not reporting their adjustment numbers over there. Anna, I'm taking a class. Can you close the door? So he's not providing non-GAAP. I'm looking for non-GAAP numbers out here. I don't see non-GAAP numbers over here. I'll show you another example where you'll have those non-GAAP numbers available. Anyhow, uh, moving quickly. You're on that adjustment umbrella page. Yes. Sector specific adjustments you are aware of it now. Um, now let's start with creating these models. I'll quickly walk you through how and things are. Uh, what is this model? I'll give you one of the models for your practice. So this is the company name. Uh, we have the stock market ticker, stock exchange, fiscal year ending. Are there any corporate rating? So just by entering the ticker through database, we have certain add-in plugins, formulas, which helps us refresh these numbers by just changing the date, which current by the date over here. So if we change the date, this will automatically update. But for that, you need an access to that. So once you join a company, there'll be another tab over here where it'll say that it is capital IQ or of Accent. And using those functionals, it will refresh the entire sheet for the current market price. So we don't need to manually enter these things. We just need to manually enter the date and ticker. Rest all the things are formula based in a live scenario. For our reference, I've added everything. Uh, this is the price. Say percentage 52-week high is basically nothing but it gives me key where my current standing is. Current last 12 months के अंदर last 52 weeks के अंदर what is the high the company the stock price has done and what is the bottom basis what is my percentage of my share price stands as a percentage of high and percentage of low. I can compute the same way. Dividend, I generally what we do is to calculate dividend yield. Dividend yield का फॉर्मूला क्या होता है मेरा dividend per share divided by current share price. So for calculating dividend yield, a company who pays dividend quarterly, so her quarter and quarter they are increasing. So what I'll do is either I'll add sum of all the 4 quarters to give me an annualized dividend, or I'll use the latest quarter multiplied by 4 to give me uh, dividend dividend per share annualized. तो हमारे पूरे फुल ईयर का डिविडेंड लेना होता है जब अपना डिविडेंड डील कैलकुलेट करने के लिए. नंबर ऑफ शेयर्स आई जस्ट शो यू कहाँ से ले रहे हैं. This is for a different company and the shares are from a different company. So if you go to control and go to this tab, the sheet is linked. So fully diluted shares. This is a summary of selected market. Right on left, everything is available. Right, में we are doing all the working. Manual entry सारी rights में, left में just linking to give you a summary of everything. So basic shares outstanding available from latest filing. There are this much number of shares outstanding. Class A, Class B, and Class C. We'll have to add all the three: 599, 5 billion, 5.996 million, 885 million, 6163 million together will give me total shares. So hypothetically, I'll do 5996 plus 885 plus 6163, right?
What is this Class A, Class B, Class C share of product categorization of share?
So there are different classes of shares: Class A, Class B, Class C, class with different voting powers that company issues over time. Let's see what is the main definition of Class B. Just control F, you will see what this Class B is. The company is providing that. तो शेयर कैपिटल पे जब हम जाएंगे हमारे को पता लगता है कि व्हाट आर दीज क्लासेस ऑफ शेयर्स. company has not provided a detail. ये 10Q है ना, 10K में होगा. See, company is providing a description of it. The rights of the holder of each class of are identical except that respect to the voting class. Class each share of class A is entitled to one vote per share. Each share of class B are entitled to 10 votes per share, and class C has no voting rights. Okay,
Yes, sir.
we add number of shares. Now to calculate in options, we'll have to go over here. So the easiest way is do Control F, options. We're not getting any hit. I'll say RSU compensation plan, right? I'm just using certain filters. This you will gradually come to know when you develop that expertise over time. Our stock option, our plan include alphabet amending RSU, there are also RSUs and other types of awards being granted. Yeah, an RSU award is an agreement to issue this at the same time the award will vest over 4 years. So they are saying these are the shares of Class C stock reserved for future issuance. Should I take this? I should not take this. Saying we have reserved it. हमने एक एलोकेट करा हुआ है कि ओवर टाइम हमारा एक ऑप्शन प्लान है जिसमें हम टोटल इतने शेयर ओवर टाइम इशू करेंगे. इंस्टेड वी अब यहाँ पर लिखा हुआ है स्टॉक बेस्ड अवार्ड एक्टिविटीज. सो नाउ you need to understand awards नहीं लेने, but company is saying that these are my RSUs. At times there will be double meaning. You'll have to catch that meaning. What is exactly it is. So company यहाँ पर they are mentioning it is awards, but these are not awards. These are RSUs only, restricted stock units. So hence, what will I do is I'll take this number. It's important to know whether these are represented in thousand, millions, or what. Since it's not written anywhere, we are assuming it to be as normal units, and we'll convert it into millions. I am excluding the options, exercise price. When you open any template, always see whether that number that I need to add is in US dollars, are they in million. It will always be mentioned. Even if you're creating something on your own, always have that denomination of top of it and what that representation is. Is it in US currency or whichever currency? INR. So I've added that. So RSUs, I always take that as in the money. This is directly added over here. Since I'm not getting any proceeds from RSU, hence that proceeds is showing as blank. Hence there is no repurchase. Now scroll down further. Are there any other options? There are no options. So hence this is my fully diluted shares.
So would you share this template?
Yes, for your working at the end of the session, I would ask you to actually go ahead and work on a company of your choice for your, or maybe I'll give a common company for all of you, uh, so that you together we can work and solve any queries if we have.
Okay, sir.
Whatever you say, I'll give you a blank template where I'll ask you to actually go ahead, search on your own, add the company name, ticker, fiscal year ending. Uh, these things you can ignore. Data you can ignore. Current price, current price rate. 52 week high you can definitely add on your own. So trust me, you'll be working on it. So try and understand from that perspective. What is the flow of this model? The first thing is to always start with the shares outstanding. Now look for convertible. How do we look for convertible? Best is do control F, convert, convert. I'm not getting any hits from convert, so I don't think so there is a convertible security. The other thing I need to cross check is go to financial statement, balance sheet, and look for long term debt. This is the breakup of total debt. These are the notes issued, future lease payments. Remember we discussed on the lease liabilities and other things. The company is saying it is a part of my total debt. So this is my this is my current portion of long term debt. This is my short term 101. So since we don't have any convertible, I'm just that was added earlier as for your convenience as an example. We don't have anything right now. Now comes updating for is my EV. So this will give me equity value. So this is a name. Actually, I went and changed that formula. Right? मुझे market cap मिल जाएगा. Anyone can give me a quick value of MSFT. Google it around. Sorry,
Sir,
alphabet.
242.12.
Sorry, alphabet. We're doing for alphabet. My bad. Alphabet बताना.
101.13.
101.13. Correct? As of 21st होगा, right? ये भी चेंज होगा, ये हम डाल देंगे बाद में.
Today is the 22nd, sir, by the way.
22nd तो आज है ना यार, उनकी करेंसी आज कहाँ से, कल कल की क्लोजिंग है ना.
अच्छा, कल का क्लोज ले रहे हो, right? Makes sense.
So this is the rough equity value I'm getting. Shares into current price. This is million. Okay, remember. तो what लग रही है मुझे वैल्यू है इसकी. हमने शेयर्स किसी और के डाले, हम देख कुछ और कंपनी में.
I think value is wrong.
बिकॉज शेयर्स हमने किसी और कंपनी के डाले हैं और हमने अपने एमएसएफटी और उसमें गड़बड़ कर दी।
Exactly.
ठीक है, नाउ इट शुड बी इन सिंक roughly, right? Any anyone? Is it somewhere closer to what is reflected in any of the databases? 10K है again, 10Q इसकी है alphabet। तो ठीक तो डाला था हमने, सही तो था यार हमारा। ये क्या तो था यार, सॉरी, गड़बड़ क्यों कर दिया हमने, सही तो कर रहे थे, कंफ्यूज कराते ना तुमने यार। यही है शेयर्स, तू चेक करेगा कितना आ रहा मार्केट वैल्यू। 131 ट्रिलियन ना, 1.3 ट्रिलियन ठीक तो आ रहा था। एक्चुअली क्या हुआ, टेल यू व्हाट हैपेंड विद दिस, ये इतने इतने फर्क क्यों आ रहे हैं। लेट मी क्लोज ऑन द अदर शीट्स। जो ये शेयर्स आउटस्टैंडिंग हमने डाले हैं ना, ये ऑप्शंस ऑप्शंस हमने गलत डाले हैं। I'll show you how to just quickly reference it out in this panel. See, ये 10K के नंबर है एज ऑफ जैन, 30 मिलियन, 44 मिलियन, 315 मिलियन, ठीक है। और ये सडनली यू आर सीइंग दैट इट हैज जंप टू 600 मिलियन, 300 से 600 हो गया, क्योंकि 1:220 का स्टॉक स्प्लिट हुआ था इसका। ये 44.5 से 885 ये स्टॉक स्प्लिट हुआ था इसका। ये जुलाई के नंबर है, ये जैन के, हम जुलाई के नंबर्स ले रहे हैं। आरएसयू दिखाता हूँ आपको, विल नाउ सी 379 मिलियन आरएसयूज है, यहाँ देखो। बिगिनिंग ऑफ द ईयर 16.89, 16.89 इंटू 20 करोगे ना 338 आएगा। ये ऑप्शन जो है दिस इज 379, ठीक है। और आपका वैल्यू कितना आ रहा है, 13.1 ट्रिलियन आ रहा है ना। अगर मैं इसको डिवाइड करूँ 10⁻⁶ से, 1.3 आ रहा है, राइट। यहाँ कितना आ रहा है ट्रिलियन, 1.31। प्रीवियस क्लोज 100.53। ये हमारे ऑप्शंस के कारण आ रहा है। हटा दूँ तो वन, अगर मैं 379 माइनस कर दूंगा तो आई गेट 131, तो इट इज समवेयर अराउंड दैट। ये 04 आ रहा है ना शेयर्स आउटस्टैंडिंग, हमारा आ रहा है 423 बिकॉज वी हैव एडेड फॉर RSUs। वी कैन ऑलवेज क्रॉस चेक दीज नंबर्स। 13044 और जो हमारा 379 मिलियन इज द RSUs वी हैव एडेड ऑप्शन, हेंस दैट इज द डिफरेंस। ऑलवेज क्रॉस चेक दैट। to spread total debt. Remember, I'm not spreading the entire balance sheet. We are just concerned with the enterprise value over here. So मैं as on date वाली लूँगा, right? ठीक है? June ending तो नहीं है ना कंपनी में? I don't think so. It's June ending. Fiscal year ends 31, 31, 12, 21. ठीक है. Now it makes sense. Let's start with total debt. Remember, do not get confused with 10K and 10Q. हम लेटेस्ट बैलेंस शीट नंबर्स ले रहे हैं, 630 के ले रहे हैं, तो वो 10Q से ही मिलेंगे. वन फोर सेवन थ्री फोर 14734 plus short term current portion जो है, that is 82. We are not adding the unamortized discount and debt issuance cost. We are always taking it after that. So एक तो ये हो गया. Is there anything else I need to search for in current liabilities? Long term debt में deferred revenue नहीं होगा. ये long term liabilities में long term debt ले लिया. Deferred revenue नहीं, income tax payable नहीं, deferred. Operating lease liabilities 11697.
Sir, I have a question in this.
Yes, please.
Do we include short-term lines of credit in this by any chance?
Can you repeat?
Do we include short-term lines of credit, cash credits, overdrafts? Because
Yes.
they are running credits in capital.
Any,
We do
if you
include
have borrowed any amount, yes.
it. That has to be included. All right. All right.
Now, what is this? Is the operating 11697? What is the current portion of it? It is not showing me anything. Again, current portion of lease liabilities is available in other current liabilities. See, यहाँ पर हमारे को current liabilities में operating lease liabilities नहीं दिया हुआ. It has not been mentioned, but it does not mean that it is not there. It is available in other current liabilities, accrued expenses. I just did control left. I just search operating lease liability and the current portion is available as 2297. Always important to look into the notes to account. This is my total debt. For EV, I have computed total debt. Preferred stock, I'll search for preferred stock in my balance sheet. Am I getting preferred stock? It is 00. So you don't need to add. Non-controlling. Are we getting any NCI over here? Non-controlling interest. It should be below the shareholders' equity. I don't see anything. It is 0. Mezzanine or NCI is not available. Now come the cash and cash equivalents. Now cash and cash equivalents. Go to current assets. Cash and cash equivalents and market companies together, combining it and giving you for your ease. और क्या इतना बढ़िया 1 to 4 997, ठीक है. रिमेंबर ये मिलियंस में है, हम भी मिलियंस में डाल रहे हैं. अगर ये 1000 में होता तो you have to divide. Are there any other? No. Now see, non-current में non-marketables. We are not taking it. Non-current है ये. बट हाँ हम एक चीज और कर सकते हैं, हम चेक कर सकते हैं इसके अंदर कोई इन्वेस्टमेंट्स तो नहीं, अर्निंग्स नहीं है. इक्विटी मेथड, इक्विटी इन्वेस्टमेंट्स आ गया. Equity security accounted under equity method. Equity security accounted under equity method had a carrying value of 1.5 billion as of December and 1.4 billion as of June. तो ये क्या है मेरा इक्विटी एसोसिएट्स. रिमेंबर ईवी के लिए, डू वी रिमेंबर दैट?
Yes, sir.
So let me add one more thing. Let's एसोसिएट्स, इसको मैं लिंक करता हूँ इक्वल टू माइनस का साइन और I'll add it, show it somewhere. मैं टोटल एसेट्स के नीचे एक बार रफली इसकी प्लेसमेंट नहीं हुई, तो आई एम जस्ट एडिंग इट एज अ प्लेसमेंट. 1.4 billion, right? Equal to 1.4 into 1000, giving me in million. So you'll see यहाँ पर वो माइनस का आ गया नंबर, right? I'll copy the format and I have to change the enterprise formula. नहीं ऑलरेडी सम ऑफ है उसमें आ ही रहा है. So this is my, so since my cash and cash equivalents are higher than my debt, my market cap में से वो subtract हो रहा है. Hence my enterprise value is lower than my equity value. Can my enterprise value be negative? Yes, it can be. Suppose my cash and cash equivalents, my debt is zero or my net debt is higher than my equity value. There can be company with negative enterprise value. There are a lot of Chinese companies right now which has a negative enterprise value. That means that company can be bought using its own cash.
So this would happen with very cash-rich companies, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Is
market
that
will
an obvious?
market will not appreciate those kind of companies much.
Because they're not utilizing their cash to the most
Yes.
efficient resource.
So either the investors will ask them to repay, to buy back, or do cash dividend, or do something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So their capital
Makes sense.
allocation is not good. Remember, ITC was
Exactly.
having the same trouble. Cash rich company
Right.
does not know what to do.
Mm.
They were starting to invest in
Mm.
FMCG when market didn't value them. But now since FMCG is also doing well, they are also paying dividend. The market is appreciating that.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
एंटरप्राइज वैल्यू समझ के कैसे कैलकुलेट करता है? इट्स वेरी इजी, वेरी बेसिक स्टेप. Now we'll quickly remove these things. Because this was for some other company. See, all the numbers are NA right now. Also, it's important to save your either use this auto save function or save it down. See, now आपने enterprise value तो calculate कर लिया. Now what is your next aim? To calculate the LTM multiples. We don't have research report available right now, so we are not concerned with this. We are only concerned with this. ठीक है? So trust again. Understand. Do I require these two periods? ठीक है हो गया. 2019. So I don't require these two columns, right? Probably I can group it right now. Why? Because I need the LTM numbers. तो LTM के लिए मैं क्या करूँगा? What I have to do is start with the annual and I can directly copy them, but I'll use only this. The issue with this. COGS. COGS is basically cost of revenue. खाली यही है cost of revenue. So now whether I should show a negative number or a positive number, that will depend upon my formula. Now if I am using this and subtracting it, then I have to use a positive number. अगर ये if it would have been sum of this, then I should have shown it as negative. Like in this EV, this is the sum of function, and I have to show this in negative as well as associates in negative. Similarly, SG&A और ये सब numbers डाल दूंगा मैं, right? This is a no-brainer. You can just directly copy these things. I'm just telling you the concept. Now comes the non-recurring items. Non-recurring items कौन से? यहाँ तो your commission fine है, but वो 19 का number I don't require it. 21 में there is no number. I'll go to cash flow and check if there are any adjustments that company is doing. Depreciation, amortization. ये मैं EBITDA calculation के लिए यहाँ पर डाल सकता हूँ. 5 amortization 886. ठीक है. Let me just do it only quickly so that we can quickly relate. SGNA 22912 दस में आ जाएंगे बाकी सारे R&D 31562 13510 no 31562 SGNA के अंदर सेल्स मार्केटिंग GNA भी आएगा तो 13510 will be a part of this. This is my bit 78714. It matches perfectly. Good. Interest expense. तो इसमें अदर इनकम्स के अंदर है वो 12020. Remember, ये मेरा इंटरेस्ट एक्सपेंस को I'll just change it to other. We'll have to modify depending on what line items. एक ये तो generic sheet है. तो ये मेरा इनकम है. So I have to show it as change of sign because I am doing a sum of formula. This minus sum of this. So I have to change it to negative. एक्सपेंस होता तो मैं पॉजिटिव ही शो कर रहा था इनकम है तो नेगेटिव क्योंकि एक्सपेंस सारे मैंने पॉजिटिव में शो करे इनकम में नेगेटिव में तो प्री टैक्स इनकम इज इन सिंक विद दिस इनकम बिफोर इनकम टैक्सेस इज 14701 76033 is my net income. Now see diluted shares. Now I have to search for diluted shares so that my APS matches. They are saying number of shares used in. They are given you how they have computed the diluted as well as basic. So the number of diluted share is 331919. 313, no, 331919. Sure, how they. So ये three classes के अलग अलग है. I have to add them. अभी भी सेम नहीं आ रहा. It should ideally match. Greater is this. Let's do a back of the envelope calculation. 38793 373724। अच्छा ये नंबर ही इनका अलग आ रहा है, 8133 आ रहा है। लेट मी जस्ट चेक, ये 8133 कहाँ से आ रहा है। There is some mistake, I guess company has done. So allocation of undistributed earnings 38,79. So when we do the numerator, it is sum of these things, which is 81130. Whereas our net income is this. So this is showing something else. There might be some adjustment company was doing somewhere. Seven six. You're right. I guess there is some other things that company is doing, which we need to ignore at the moment. Now let's get back to our. We are talking about the adjustments. Adjustments. Stock-based compensation. DNA we have added stock-based compensation 15376. 15376. Then gain on debt and equity securities. We'll have to see whether this is a part of my uh, net income or this is my normal course. I'm not. If I'm not able to identify what is the source of it, I will not include it until I'm 100% sure. It's better to skip this till the point you are not sure about it. This seems like there were some investments that the company has done, and this is not a part of normal course of operation, but this is below the line item, and it should be part of this, which see it is the part of here. There is a gain on debt, gain on equity. So since for we are just computing EBITDA right now, we come back to EBIT later. So for EBIT, it is not. It is below the line item. It is below income from operation. Hence, there is no adjustment that we need to do out here. Stock-based compensation we have adjusted. DNA we adjusted. So we'll see what is the multiple we are getting. By sales as 4.9, EV by EBITDA as 13.3, EV by EBIT as 13.3. There's a problem with this sheet. It could not be same. EV by EBITDA multiple will always be higher or lower. You know what? EV by EBITDA multiple will be higher or lower to EV by EBIT. Anyone?
Lower.
Sir, higher.
Why?
Sir, because in EBIT we are not considering depreciation and amortization, so the denominator will be less and hence it will be higher than EV by EBITDA.
Absolutely, that's correct. Can anyone check what is the multiple we are getting for this company? And we'll see, now we'll match. This is our. At the end, we'll have to, just check. Trailing P of 18.6. We are not getting 18.6. I'll tell you why we're not getting 6. First of all, we're not getting to B. So there is an error. So this is not LTM as of now. This is basically FY 21. Now we'll have to do similarly for the 10Q. Guys, can you do for 10Q on your own? It's in the similar fashion we have to do. Revenue, COGS, then check for SBC. Do it in similar fashion. Where you'll add prior 6 months number using these numbers. I'm just showing you the first step. Right, basis then you'll have to spread these numbers. So you'll get these LTM numbers. Then you can compute these LTM numbers and see how we are doing in terms of what other brokers, if you have access to broker reports or what. And then we can spread also the estimates. We can directly spread the multiple out here, EV divided by sales. We can add the sales number here directly, EBITDA number here, and EBIT number over here, right? This is how you get a ballpark understanding of this. Now, similarly, we have to do these for say 5 to 10 companies just to make an output of multiple companies and see how MSFT is performing with respect to its peer. Now, then only you'll be able to understand whether it's underperforming, overperforming, undervalued, overvalued. These comparable sheets help us identify who is the market leader, why certain companies are being valued higher. So the assignment for you would be one to complete on this Google and similarly uh, add its comparables. You'll have to identify and spread 3 more companies on besides completing this. Uh, Now I'll also would like to walk you through various sector specific multiples. This might be of interest to you.
Sir,
Yes, please.
like did we prepare this model totally from scratch or like
You're not required to totally prepare from scratch. These are the generic things that will be always available at your end. Even if you have to prepare it from scratch, you can do it. I've given you a basic idea, a deep understanding. Where is the what linking is going? How do you do it? Why we have not spread these is because we don't require right now these numbers. Yeah, our objective is to hello. Uh, our objective is to compute the multiples. When we'll be calculating and doing certain ratio analysis, then we'll be requiring these other things. Right now, we don't require it. Other ratio analysis, then probably we'll be requiring these things, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, I had a question.
please go ahead.
When you were browsing through the PowerPoint earlier, I saw that return on assets was computed as a proportion of fixed assets. When, like, I'm actually a CFA student, so what we read there was like
I've not
total.
covered that. No, actually, did I cover that?
No, sir. Like, when
Please,
you were
please.
browsing through the PowerPoint,
So there are certain
like,
things that might not be relevant. Hence, I'm not touching base. I don't want to
right.
confuse you. Please don't. If
Right.
I have said something,
No, you did
uh,
not say it, sir. Explicitly,
okay.
no. I just read it. Let
No, no.
me
Please,
hear that.
please, please don't refer to what you are reading through.
All right.
There are certain things that might have to be changed, or or might have changed and not saved and or got saved and that. So I'm not touching
Hmm.
base on.
Makes
So
sense.
hence I'm not showing certain things. Just
All
refer
right.
to what I'm saying.
All right.
Uh, so there are various methods. So one question to all of you: can we use EV by EBITDA for banks or financial institutions?
Mm,
Um,
no, sir. Maybe.
No, sir.
Maybe no, yes. Those who are
No, sir.
saying no or yes, can probably someone can give a justification.
banking industry, like they won't have any history or something. So depreciation will come.
No, it does not depend on depreciation. Understand? A company who is in the business of lending,
Very levered.
so not even levered. I'll say a company who is into the business of giving and receiving interest. How can you compute EBITDA? How can you exclude that from your operations? That is
Right.
a
It is
part
a
of my
part of.
operation.
Makes sense.
Getting it?
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
So understand these multiples are not evolved by like a Greek person. There is a relevance behind everything. So there are certain operating multiples. There are certain financial multiples that are very often used in a specific set of companies. So for basic materials, cement, steel, coal, papers, EV by ton is a metric used. What is the capacity they have?
Hmm.
So what is the market valuing per ton of capacity to them?
Sir,
And
what about
then
insurance?
wait, now let me complete.
Yeah.
There are a lot of sectors we are covering over here. Okay. If you have any questions on that particular thing that I'm talking, I would appreciate. Else, let me complete and then I can entertain.
Sir,
Uh, then we have EV by EBITDA. This is a normal metric used for these production cement steel companies. Yes, someone was saying something.
yes, sir. So in like you have mentioned like in banking. So
Yeah, wait, I
the
have not touched base upon banking. Let me come to the banking, sir.
okay.
Let me, come. There are so many sectors, or if you want, you can just browse it on your own. I can do that also. Whatever suits you. Maybe you can browse on your own then.
No, sir. Please go ahead.
Oil and gas, EBITDA X. It's X is like earnings before tax and before exploration expense also. These are capitalized generally. So hence. Then EV by reserve, EV by BOE, barrels of oil equivalent, are one of the few operating matrices. These are very few I have listed down. There could be others or revision to this. EV by number of aircrafts that they have for airlines. EV by EBITDA R. R is before rent expense, and this is also used for FMCG's companies as well. Price by book value. Median telecom. EV by subscriber. EV by towers. EV by fiber miles. EV by operating capacity for data centers. uh, EV by free cash flow available for AFFO, available free fund funds from operation, available funds from operations, price by FFO, price by equity, EV by EBITDA again, technology. What happened to technology? Why are things missing? Okay. That's what happened when you delete something. EV, technology is again, technology will not have a kind of operating metric as such. That depends, subscribers, MAU, number of hits. Free cash flow is one of the important metrics. EV by sales is they'll be high on EV by sales, EV by beta, P by E, price by book value for semiconductors. Retail sector will have EV by store, EV by square feet, uh, and then again EV by beta R, as I mentioned earlier, for airlines. EV by sales is the financial. Real estate, it is EV per square feet. Price by FFO, price by NAV, price by book value is the financial methods is used. Yes, banking to your answer. I guess you must be doing something with the banks. EV by asset under management is the operating metrics quite often used for banks. Price by tangible book value, EV by tangible book value, price by equity, price by book value. So please go ahead with your questions.
Sir, so for insurance companies, the last point we covered,
Yeah.
interest income from float is a like core part of their operation, right?
Oh
So
yes.
we would still not use EBITDA there, which is why the AUM metric is used, right?
Yes. Hence we have not mentioned.
All right. So that's the logic, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Sir, for banks, if their business is like the deposits are their liability and the loans are their assets, but like when while calculating enterprise value, it wouldn't be sensible to calculate enterprise value for banks even.
Can you repeat your question?
Sir, while calculating enterprise value, we have to just add the
Excuse me.
debt.
Huh.
In the banking sector, if we add the debt and all, because it is in the business of lending and borrowing. So whether it will be sensible to calculate enterprise value for banks, or it is a good metric.
No, it is not a good metric, yeah. We should not use it. Banks are always valued at, see, their operation is borrowing heavy. If you go and calculate that thing, their book size would be so high.
Yes, sir.
So hence we use tangible book value. What is book value? Net worth of a company.
Yes, sir. Like assets and all.
Absolutely. It's like, you add on plant, equipment for cement, steel, also additionally all these things. So hence we are using EV by AUM just in case. It should not be enterprise value for asset under management, not for specific, but for uh, some other institutions like who are uh, like Brookfield, KKR, who are listed uh, financial institutions. उनके asset under management enterprise value के हिसाब से क्या है? What is the factor there? You can go back and come up with your questions on that, search around that, you will come up with a lot of reasoning around that, but these are the few matrices you should be aware of it.
Sir, I had a doubt.
Ah,
So, but back to the bank parts. While evaluating banks, isn't NPA a major role in evaluating which bank is doing well?
that could be one of the parameters, right? But that has been on, yeah, for comparison operating, we can add that. So it's bank, insurance, financial institution all clubbed together. You can add that. I'll add it. Thank you for highlighting. NPA, GNPA, CASA. Actually, I am not an expert on the banks, so you can. I am more into oil and gas, media, telecom, retail, real estate. Bank is not my forte. Sorry, yaar. I've not worked on banking at all.
Sir, about REITs,
Yeah, please
is
go ahead
there,
about
there
these.
any metric that evaluates EV to AFO by any chance?
हाँ लिखा तो है
Like,
रीच डिविडेंड यील्ड
सर इधर P to FFO लिखा है ना, वो तो ठीक है. I was asking about EV से compare कर सकते हो उस चीज से. Like people do it in practice.
इस बाय एफएफओ करते हैं हम यार आई डोंट से सो बाय एफएफओ you can use it because company are levered over that is not a challenge we can do that but ideally it should be priced by FFO AFFO available funds from even not FFO available funds from operations which is your cash flow from operation less capex
Yeah, and leasing expenditures वो
leasing
सारे
expenditures yeah that is AFFO
ये
FFO is less working capital हाँ
और प्लस depreciation करते हैं.
I hope you kind of relate to this session more. Like, first session was a basic introduction where actually making you aware of what this IB is into, what are you, if you are planning to start your career into, what are the things, various streams, various linkages. Now, today's session was again into more of what are the various terminologies, what is the valuation, what are the basic of things, how do you go and deep dive, you understand EV works, there are thousands of things that you need to factor in while calculating your multiples. I try to touch base upon those things so that you these at the end these help you also prepare you for your interviews. Trust me, these are the questions that would be asked upon and checked upon. You're developing your understanding. You might be learning what is enterprise value equation, but when people tend to get into deep into it, drill down deep into it, they tend to ask a reasoning, logical flow of it. That's what my objective over here is to. EV equation can be found in Google. You're not here to understand that. You're more able to understand when you will pay attention and see what is the correlation, what each terminology means, how is it different to others, what are the things we have to factor in, what we have to keep in mind, why are we doing that particular thing. So if you develop that kind of logical reasoning, trust me, you are there, you'll nail it in the interview. No one can stop you on that. Yes, even if you are unaware of a particular thing, you can always say, sorry, I'm not aware of that. So an interview will jump on. He's also not expecting you to be aware of each and every terminologies, right?
Yes, sir.